Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Ambassadorial Wing. And tonight we are talking 1980s, and in particular to the greatest icons of the 1980s. We are talking G.I. freaking Joe, Joe, and Transformers. And with me tonight, I have got a great panel of guests. I have got my good friends, Stone Loki, Enosh Fett of Poindexter Lounge, Brian Hill, Master of None and Jack of all trades, and Myrr, the gravitationally adept.
Right.
Gentlemen, welcome to the Ambassadorial Wing. Thank you all for being here. This stream is going to be legend, and wait for it, Terry. There. Drop the mic. Done. Guys, how we all doing?
Pretty damn good.
Fantastic.
We're good.
Doing well. Thank you for having us. It's very good to be here, taking my time off of fighting all of the Decepticons.
I was gonna channel my inner Mad Max there for a while, but that gets stuffy, man. I can't imagine doing that.
Oh yeah,
I know.
For a whole show.
Holy cow!
Well, his mask is a little bit different, but yeah.
That's true.
And to the chat, Gitter92, good evening, my friend, or good morning, whatever time it may be, wherever you're at. It is good to see you. But yeah, folks. This has been one that I have been like, when am I going to do this? And I finally got a hold of Enosh a few weeks ago. I was like, dude, G.I. Joe, Transformers. And he was like, I'm there.
Absolutely.
I am freaking there. And then I got...
You're like a little girl.
If anybody can name that reference, you get a star.
Oh, that was Dieter from Saturday Night Live. Come on now.
Yes. Dieter from... Would you like to pet my monkey?
Monkey.
That was the time on Sprockets when we dance.
Yes. This is the time on Sprockets where we dance. But yeah, and then this thing just kind of snowballed. Loki got a hold of me. Myrr was like, dude,
I want in.
I want in. And Brian was like, hey, I'll pop on. I love geeky stuff.
Damn
Obviously,
right.
he's got a bunch of Star Trek behind him. Sadly, the line for Star Trek choice hasn't been that good.
Well, my buddy used to have the bridge set for the Next Generation, and I had the Micro Machines, the foldable Enterprise, and the tricorder and the phaser.
Nice.
I've since lost those, but yeah, back in the day, I had those.
That bridge set is really cool. I've got that in my living room.
Yeah, it's awesome.
And I've got like all the guys in it, and then I've got like the Next Generation and the Borg are attacking and stuff. It's a nice living room piece.
Oh heck yeah! The transporter room would actually move them back and forth. That was really cool.
Yeah, that's cool.
And to the chat, Captain Trek, good evening, sir. Good to see you once again. Glad you are here. But folks, you cannot talk about pop culture from the 1980s without talking about freaking G.I. Joe and freaking Transformers. And tonight we're going to show some love to the toys, to the comics, to the cartoon, even though it was nothing more but a glorified commercial. I don't care. It's 80s, it's cartoons, it's kick-ass, and on the Ambassadorial Wing, we talk about kick-ass stuff. So we don't talk about lame, crappy stuff like some other channels. like
other crappy channels.
Yeah, we don't talk about the Snyder Cult with a certain dumbass and a certain jackass. That's all I'm going to say.
Shots fired.
You better watch it. He might appear out of nowhere.
I don't care. I'll boot his ass out of my stream. I've got good mods, and they know when to get rid of a troll.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
So, guys, I've done my thing. I opened the floor. Where do you want to begin?
Man, you got to start. You want to start with G.I. Joe? Just like,
I
mean, it's the oldest. I mean, it's got such roots in and making a comeback in the 80s. I mean,
yeah, I'm good with that. Wherever you all want to start. I'm your host. You're my guests. This is our home.
Do you remember where you were the first time you heard of G.I. Joe?
Honestly, for me, when it comes to G.I. Joe and Transformers, where I got my first connection was actually the comics.
Okay.
For me, that was my entry point. That was my entry point and everything into G.I. Joe and Transformers. And to the chat, Purple Valkyrie, Purple Lady, good evening, madam, or good morning, wherever you're at. Good to see you. I've told this story kind of, but when I was growing up as a kid, as an 80s kid, we went to church on Sundays. And after we went to church, we always went to this local news store and everything, get our newspapers and our newsstand or whatever. And they had the spinner. And I'm sure everybody knows what I'm talking about with the spinner.
Oh, yeah.
And it had the comics all up and down, every side of it. And my eye caught.
I'm just taking you there.
Freaking show off.
That's awesome, man.
I love you, Enosh, man.
I'm just trying to get you in the mood, man.
I know. You're good. You are completely good, man. You are completely good.
I really am not trying to show off. It's just you.
I know you're
something
not.
and it's right in front of me. I'm a props guy. I'm a props guy.
I am the freaking same way. Last night I was on a Harry Potter stream and I was showing people my freaking Star Wars collection. So I'm the same way. I don't care.
Call me Carrot Top. Call me Carrot Top. I'm just a props guy.
He wanted to show him his Patronus, but nobody wanted to see it.
That's a good thing that didn't end up. I learned.
My Patronus is Darth Vader.
There you go.
So, yeah, honestly, for me, my entry point into G.I. Joe and Transformers was the comics. And I remember seeing that first issue of the limited 4-issue run of Transformers, and you've got Optimus Prime in all his glory with his ginormous mega blaster ready to blast ever living crap out of Megatron. Bend over, Megatron. I'm about to shove my blaster up your ass.
I don't remember that episode.
No, I don't remember that either.
It might have been too hot for TV.
Sounds like a DVD series. Transformers, too hot for TV.
Yes.
I don't know.
There Prime goes, running right into a roadblock.
But anyway, I got that first issue and I read it over and over and I collected every single freaking issue of the Transformers. I think I maybe missed 1 or 2 issues, if that. And shortly around that time, they started doing the G.I. Joe comic book, and I was like, ooh, this looks cool too. So I started collecting all of those, and I was like, I went to my mom and my grandmother, because everybody knows I lost my father when I was 7. So his mom and grandmother and everything, and I was like, I want this, and I want this, and I want this for Christmas or my birthday. and believe it or not, who'd we lose? Oh, what the heck?
Enosh.
All right. There he is.
I don't know what happened there.
I touched nothing. I touched absolutely nothing. It wasn't me. It was a one-armed man. But I was like, I want this and this and this and this, and this looks cool, and I want 1 of these and 2 of these and 5 of those. And well, I'm exaggerating, being obviously. But my mom and grandmother and friends of the family, Christmas and birthdays, and sometimes Easter and everything, because I got stuff for Easter too. It was G.I. Joe, Transformers, and Star Wars, obviously, but you name it, I probably had it. And my room was like packed to the gills with G.I. Joe and Transformers toys. I had the figures, I had the vehicles, I had some of the playsets. I didn't have too many, but it was just like, yeah. I loved it. I watched the cartoon every day after school, on the weekends, the whole shebang. I was the atypical 80s kid. And God, how I miss it.
Yeah. If we're going to talk G.I. Joe, let's also remember that G.I. Joe actually started in 64?
Yes.
I think it was. And they had the larger size, the much larger size.
The 12-inch figures, yeah. 12-inch. Or, well, we don't say the other word here. We don't say the D word. They were action figures.
That's right.
That's exactly it.
That's right.
I swear, anybody says the word doll, I will boot you out of this stream in 2 seconds.
You
Oh,
just
come on.
did. You
They were
just
Barbies
did.
for boys, man. Let's just be honest here.
Yeah, for the most part.
Yeah. But then, then you had the 80s recycle, for lack of better words.
Oh, yeah.
And I was really fortunate because I actually grew up in Rhode Island, and my grandmother worked for Hasbro. So
Oh man,
I would get stuff in
dude.
very early. I actually got the original G1 Optimus Prime about 2 weeks before they actually went on toys into the store shelves.
Oh wow!
I
cannot hear any more.
That's all that needed to be
You got
said.
muted. You got
That's all that needed to be said.
hot damn.
I'm sorry, Myrr. You're breaking my heart, man.
Look, I have never
breaking
seen the
my heart.
Ambassador engage God mode before, so I am. It pleases me to be your
get
first.
used to it. Get used to it. He's done it to me before.
That's amazing. That is amazing.
Well, that's what she did. She really she worked on. She wasn't on that line per se. She was actually a seamstress. She grew up. Did a lot of different clothes. Was doing clothes for for dolls and that sort of thing. And yeah, so she had access to like bring stuff home. And I was living in Florida at the time. We'd fly up there every summer, and she would have this whole arsenal of toys. Just that she would go and be able to bring home for us, and she brought home free. She never had to pay a dime for it.
Wow.
But then, but
man.
none of that exists anymore.
That's
So we're just going to
freaking
cry
amazing.
for a little bit.
Yeah.
Yes, we will. We're going to.
Well, probably no surprise. My first encounter with GI Joe was the toys, like not even the cartoon, not the not the old big 12-inch action figures, and not the comic books. I didn't know any of that. I just knew GI Joe by name because I am a total child of the 80s in every possible way. I mean, I'm sitting in a room looking at He-Man and wrestlers and Star Wars, and obviously I got all my stuff here for this thing tonight, but I mean, like, my young life epitomized the 80s for sure. And so at the time, He-Man was starting to kind of fade for me, and it was like 1984.
Yep.
And I had Castle Grayskull, but it like freaked me the heck out at night. Right? Like I was so into He-Man, and I had tons of He-Man stuff, and I had a ton of Star Wars stuff, and those were my two things, was He-Man and Star Wars.
Yep, me too.
But the thing was that like He-Man started to really freak me out, because remember the little comics that you would get with He-Man?
Yeah,
Like and like it would have like Skeletor doing all kinds of weird seance crap and like crystal balls, and like my grandma, I also was raised in a very Christian home, and my grandma raised me, and like I'm really surprised she didn't take a lot of notice of the stuff, right? Like, because, well, there was the one thing she wouldn't let me say by the power of Grayskull. She would, because she said that wasn't right. So I had to say by the power of Jesus, which was really weird when my friends came over. But as soon as I got older, Jesus had his place. He-Man had his. But no, so I had a friend who had like some GI Joes and wanted to trade me for a couple of my He-Man figures, and I didn't know anything about GI Joes, but I played with Army figures. I played with the old plastic, stationary Army figures, and I liked that stuff. And so he had two guys, and I'll never forget them because they were Short Fuse.
Oh yeah,
Right,
the mortar
Short
guy.
Fuse. Yep, Short Fuse and Breaker.
Joke.
Oh wow.
Short Fuse and Breaker.
I can make a joke about Short Fuse,
and
but
so those two guys, he wanted to trade me, and of course those just looked like just regular Army guys, right? So like there was nothing really special looking about them, but I just thought that they were cool because they were these rubber band based figures, that were kind of getting popular at the time, kind of taking over from the Star Wars 5 points of articulation idea. And so I traded him like a couple of figures for him, but I kept asking him because I didn't know anything about GI Joe. And so I remember asking him, and now it just seems so stupid now, because I would ask him, I'm like, well, okay, but which one's GI Joe? Right? Because you got He-Man, you got a figure named He-Man, right? And so I was like, okay, but like which one's GI Joe? And he's like, no, they're all GI Joe. And I'm like, No. But which one's G.I. Joe? I'm 8 years old, right? And so, like in my mind, like there's got to be a guy named G.I. Joe, and I totally didn't understand that at all. And then I figured out that the team was called G.I. Joe. But then the first G.I. Joe that I actually ever bought that my grandmother ever bought me was Torpedo.
God, you're bringing back some memories here. My God.
Yeah,
Oh,
was Torpedo.
He was in the what was it, the movie, the TV movie,
Yeah.
trying to get the stuff.
Yes, the
Dominator.
elements. The elements. The
Elements,
the elements, yes.
Elements.
And so then shortly, well, the Weather Dominator was after that. That was the
Was it? Okay.
yeah.
Art device or something.
Yeah, the mass device. The mass device.
Thank
The
you.
mass device. Because you could transport any army or any group of people anywhere around the world. And that was Cobra's whole plan, was they were going to transport all their Cobra officers, into a city or into Washington, D.C. or G.I. Joe base or whatever. And so that was my introduction. And then, of course, I saw that 5-part miniseries that they played over and over again, leading up to the cartoon being launched. And I fell in love with G.I. Joe. And so as Star Wars stopped producing figures and He-Man went away, G.I. Joe became my main thing. I had some Transformers as a kid, but G.I. Joe was it for me. And I just absolutely loved G.I. Joe from that. And I lived G.I. Joe. I was an only kid for a while. And so my grandma just bought me G.I. Joes, man, constantly. And
it's funny you talked about He-Man being creepy. Did you have Skeletor's Castle, the one with the voice changing?
The Snake Mountain, wasn't it?
So I didn't, but I do now.
I did.
do now.
That thing
I had
was
both
creepy.
of them.
That thing was creepy.
Yes, it is creepy.
But it was so much fun.
It's complete with that microphone that they had in there too.
Yeah. The voice changing microphone.
Yeah.
Well, and just a quick hey to the chat, Caleb Richardson, welcome. I think this is your first time here, so welcome to the channel. I appreciate you being here.
That's my buddy.
Oh, is it?
Yep, there it is.
Oh, hell yeah.
Oh, dude.
That's
And
it.
if you think that creeped me the hell out,
Yeah, fair enough.
We did.
and the microphone's in the gray one.
And that black,
Yep.
that's a microphone.
Yep.
Yeah, the microphone. Yeah. But real quick, Caleb Richardson, Sci-Fi Dragon, Eastland Brookholder, good to see you all. Thank you for popping in. And Emerald Doom is here. Admiral Oliver Franklin Doom is here. Good evening, sir. Good to see you. I hope you finally made it home the other night. He was mentioned to me his vehicle broke down and he was stuck in the heat and everything. And it was sucky. And Over Easy Mode brings up a very, very good point, and I think this is warranted. 1983, the FCC deregulated cartoons. From then on, cartoons were not even considered programming. TV stations regarded cartoons as advertisements. He-Man was the first as a commercial program. Yeah, I know. I mean, let's all be perfectly candid here. As I said in the intro, the cartoons were just glorified ads.
Absolutely.
Oh, for sure.
Go buy. Tell your parents to go buy this stuff.
And it worked.
Or go get a job and go buy the stuff yourself.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, pretty much.
But my first
Nice.
experience with this kind of stuff was with the cartoons. I was born in the 80s, or in the early 80s. So actually, my first real Transformer experience was the Beast Wars cartoon.
Ooh.
Yeah, you know what? Yeah, I'll say this. I loved the Beast War cartoon. I did. I enjoyed it thoroughly. And yeah, I was in my late teens when it came out, I think, but I still liked it.
Yeah, it was fantastic. And then like how they had I was just looking at some of the toys from then, like Optimus Primal, and the Megatron was really cool in that one as well.
And that reminds Go ahead, Brian.
But I was also going to say, as far as G.I. Joe, I just remember my cousins having the play sets, and the play sets for G.I. Joe were freaking amazing. That and the vehicles, all the vehicles, man, those are awesome.
Yep.
And to the chat very quickly, Superior Reviews, good to see you, sir. Glad you tuned in this evening. So, anyway, but yeah, the play sets for G.I. Joe, they were awesome. I mean, you had the Terrordrome, which a certain guest has in his collection, fully staffed
Yes.
with the whole army of Cobra. And of course, you had the G.I. Joe Command Center. And of course, you had the Mobile Command Center. And then, of course, you had that huge, colossal space shuttle place that no one could ever afford.
Nope. I don't even have that now.
Everybody and their mother wanted. And of course, the USS Flag. I mean, let's just be candid here. G.I. Joe had some great freaking play sets.
Hey, you know what? Though that damn carrier didn't float. I know. I tried it. Could not float.
Yeah,
Loki to the bottom. No.
Yeah, Loki would be the one whack job who would try to make a toy aircraft carrier freaking float. And to the chat, Newbie Comics, good to see you, sir. Thank you for being here tonight. Glad you could tune in. But yeah, and that was the great thing about these toy lines. They had imagination behind them. They were creative. They were inventive. They were kick-ass.
Yeah.
They were just absolutely positively kick-ass.
They were just fun.
Yeah. Well, to quote a toy line, it's Kenner. It's fun.
That's right.
It's Hasbro. It's a lot of fun. Because Hasbro had the corner. Well, let's see. Yeah, Hasbro did both G.I. Joe and Transformers, if I remember correctly.
And then
I'm
Kenner
almost
did
certain they
Star
did.
Wars.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a bunch more.
Yep, there it is. Freaking show off.
That is awesome.
Oh, he's got Serpentor's air chariot or air throne.
You guys remember the cartoons that led up to Serpentor?
Yes. Yeah. I do.
Yep.
I actually recently watched him on YouTube because apparently YouTube is streaming old G.I. Joe cartoons.
Yeah.
Well, they always had that moral at the end of the story too. Those
Yeah.
How you know and knowing so.
It's half the battle.
Okay, I'm going to bring this up. I know some of us who are purists when it comes to these icons of our childhood, but Robot Chicken has done some truly creative shorts with G.I. Joe and Transformers.
Oh, for sure.
Oh, absolutely.
Not in particular, the one where what's his face? Wild Bill is at the roast and he's disguised as Storm Shadow. And he's making all these blowjob jokes about everybody in the room. And he's talking about Serpentor, and he's like, "Hey, Serpentor, I thought there might have been told you the search for the DNA is over. You can stop it."
Yeah. That's a classic skit.
Wow.
Oh,
Dude,
yeah.
that's awesome.
So, yeah, if we're going to talk about G.I. Joe, I would not be remiss without bringing up a certain mutual friend of ours. Does everyone know who Mexican Iron Man is?
Yes.
I always call him G.I.
Oh,
Jose, a real Mexican hero.
A real Mexican hero.
Yeah.
Great guy too. Great guy.
Absolutely.
Random. Wonderful.
Yeah, and folks, down here in the lower corner of your screen is Enosh's massive collection that he is very proud of, which he has every right to be proud of, because this man is.
Oh, the tanks.
God, I remember all this shit. Ugh.
Don't we all?
Well, that I remember the RoboCop toys for some reason. Those were awesome too, man.
Yeah. I remember the RoboCop, especially the Ad 201.
Yeah.
Whatever it is. You have 20 seconds to comply. Okay, I'll comply. You have 10 seconds to comply. Yeah.
He may have had to screw this.
Yeah, dude, look at the jet.
Yeah, I know. This is my second time seeing this. I'm still envious.
I used to have the Cobra jet or whatever that it was.
Oh, the Night Raven. Yeah, it's hanging above his desk. So, but yeah, guys, as Enosh is flaunting, and again, he's justified. It's his collection. He's proud of it. Let's see. I had that one, and I had that one, and I had that one, and I think I had.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Enosh, go down. What?
Myrr,
the
I don't
blue.
think you're familiar.
No, the blue,
enough with
plane.
him.
Wasn't that from Mask?
Yeah.
I think
Yep.
it was.
It was that one. Oh my god.
That's not G.I. Joe, though.
No.
That's Mask, and Mask is awesome too. So, but yeah, honestly, guys, I mean, G.I. Joe, I mean, it was military, but it was awesome. I mean, it was a great line of toys for the simple fact that you can pretend to be any one of these people. And can you? Okay, I'll just say this. And hey, oh, for crying out loud, I'm gonna get your name wrong. Pentelix, good to see you. Glad you're here. I know who you are, LGD. Good to see you.
Wow.
Anyway, but yeah, honestly, these were great toys. These are iconic. These are, yeah, LGD. I remember. Good to see, and it's good to see you. Thank you for the shout out. I greatly appreciate it, honestly. But it's just, these were the icons of our childhood, and it's
For
great
sure.
that we are able to preserve them and share them and just say, hey, this is what we had when we were kids. And it was awesome.
Well, it was total escapism.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
look, people, I've heard people use that term negatively about stuff. And I've heard, especially in the last few years, because I had to reacquire all of this stuff. I have a couple of things from when I was a kid, but I was the kid who like kept all my stuff nice. Like my I didn't allow many of my friends to play with my G.I. Joes because all their G.I. Joes didn't have crotches or thumbs. And we all know that was a problem. I mean, because if you moved them just enough, man, that crotch was going off. And once you lost a crotch to a figure, you could glue it back if you were lucky, but it just wasn't the same after that. There was, it's like in real life.
Unless it was,
Nor should it be.
unless it was Scarlet or Lady J.
Yeah, it's just still, that's still, I'm sorry. Just looking at a metal hook in there ain't going to do it. And a rubber band. But the thing was that like, so here's my horror story. So when I got married the first time, I had a bunch of tubs of my G.I. Joe stuff still from when I was a kid. And I didn't have as much stuff as I have now. Like I didn't have a lot of the play sets and stuff like that, but I had, all the vehicles and stuff. And so she wanted me to sell it all. She wanted me to get rid of it because it was just taking up space in the basement. And I worked with a guy whose son was discovering G.I. Joe in like 1999, 2000. And back then, eBay was, eBay was not what it is nowadays. It was hard to find stuff. It's what's called a dead period for the toys of G.I. Joe. Cause like nobody cared about G.I. Joe. Nobody wanted G.I. Joe. Nobody was collecting G.I. Joe. It had died. And so we're talking one day and he's telling me that his son like discovered the cartoons. And I told him that I had all this stuff. And he says, okay. And he says, well, would you bring it in? So I brought in these tubs to work and I showed him all this stuff. And it's probably like 5 tubs of stuff and like all the figures, all the, accessories, all the weapons, because I kept them all together and everything. And so he looked at me and he's like, okay, well, how much? And when I told my current wife this, because she collects as well, and so she knows the value of some of this stuff, I told her like last year or 2 years ago, he asked me how much, and I'm thinking like garage sale prices because nobody cares about this stuff. And I sold him everything for $35.
Oh
Man.
Yes.
Oh, ouch. Oh,
Yep.
okay. To quote Dodgeball, an underdog story, ouch town, dude, population you.
Yep.
Yeah. To quote Deadpool, what in the ass, man?
I'm telling you, man. But the thing was though, was nobody cared back then. You know what I mean?
No, you're
and
absolutely
nobody,
right.
and
Yeah, the
nobody,
market
and nobody
wasn't there,
knew. Nobody had any idea that the market for them was going to resurge and come back in a huge way as people my age started to want to get these toys again. And so no, so I sold all of that stuff, and I just keep telling myself now it went to a kid. There was a kid somewhere that was very happy because his dad got him a bunch of toys that were not available, you know?
Yeah.
And so but the thing is that yeah, man, it was a total way that, like, when I would play with my GI Joes, man, like, it was, you know, to be able to I loved when I would get GI Joes that weren't in the cartoon, because I could give them their own personality, you know. And back then we had to be creative with the way that we played with our toys, you know. And develop stories and you know, these whole things. Like, nowadays everybody has, I mean, I got 3 boys who are 14, 15 and just turned 18. And it's like, you know, I'm not trying to pan on any generation, but a lot of what kids get nowadays is just kind of fed to them. Like, this is the story, this is the background, this is what, and yeah, we had the cartoons, we had the comic books, we had all those things, but also we were allowed, because of the playability of things, we had to create our own stories. You couldn't just recreate what you saw in a cartoon over and over again. You made up your own stuff, you know, and that was the fun of having actually toys that you played with. You know, to me, it just puts you in a different world.
Yeah, and that's the beauty about having it, getting it back now. Because we can sit there, look at something, and we can go back to all those stories that we made up as kids.
Yeah,
you know, we don't have to necessarily play with them again. Although, you know, it's kind of why we have kids in the first place.
Yeah.
But
indeed.
But really, I mean, it's just like, oh wow! Like, for example, I'm sitting over on the Transformer side of things. I have these Transformers where, you know, going back and I can take one look at these things and instantly be taken back to where I was when I was 7 and 8 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Oh wow!
I tell you what, I was just talking to a guy the other day because I started collecting vintage Boba Fett action figures. Because I had my original Boba Fett action figure, and I know we're not talking Star Wars, but I've got like 100 of them now. Okay.
Yeah.
And this guy on eBay the other day, I started having a conversation with him because he had this old Boba Fett. It was burnt to a crisp, and like it was just messed up. And I was telling him, because he had it like really high priced. He had it really high priced, and we were having a conversation though, because I made an offer to him. And he came back. He's like, you know, I'm really sorry if I sound like I'm being a jerk. He's like, this figure was actually my stepdad's. And he said, I knew that it was important to him. He's like, and I'm not just trying to get a lot of money for it. He says, but you know, it was special to him. It was something he played with. And I guess I'm just having a hard time letting it go. And so I told him, like, when he told me that story, I told him, that's the reason why I started collecting vintage Boba Fett action figures, was because with each figure that I got and I put in my cabinet, I look at it and I think about all the adventures that figure went on. Yeah. Right. The kid that played with that, like, where is that kid now? Right. Millions of these figures made. Where is that kid now? Like, what did he grow up to be? Or what did she grow up to be? And especially when you see one that's all burnt. I got another one that's like burnt to a crisp, or I got one that the dog chewed up and the hand's missing. And I take them in any way I can. There's one that like some kid melted a magenta crayon all over, you know, and I just think about that. Like, what has this thing been through? And I told him in the message back to him, because he agreed on a price with me. And I said, you know what I'm going to do? I said, send me your stepdad's name, and I'm going to make a video for my channel about your figure.
Nice.
And so, you know, and he really appreciated that, because it was something that resonated with him, because these toys are not just pieces of plastic. They're memories. When I watch the cartoon, like we joke about that mass device thing, but like when I watch that cartoon to this day, like it takes you back there, because these are memories. These are things that are ingrained in your head that take you back to a simpler time.
Well, you know, over Easy Mode and Gator 92, they've been talking about something called robotics. I remember robotics and everything. I didn't have too many of them. I had a few, but that honestly for me was a great line of toys and everything because you could swap out the arms and the heads, and they had the little bitty silver figure in the in the head and everything that's supposed to be the pilot.
Mhm.
Yeah, I remember those.
And those were a lot of fun right there too. You know, I think one of my favorite memories from I think it was like a Christmas and everything. Well, actually, it was the very last Christmas before my father passed. But it's like this is a good memory, not a sad one. I've got all the pictures because somebody did. I think it was either my mom or somebody did Polaroids with playing with all those toys, and there are shots of my dad and everything, putting the toys together for me and everything. And I remember there's one Polaroid and everything. He's putting together, I think, a G.I. Joe or something for me. And I had gotten this ray gun and everything. It was one of those white plastic electronic ray guns that made all the light and noise. And I was standing at one of the end of the table and I was pointing at Dad and everything. And he had this look on his face like, I love my son. I really wish he would go away so I could finish putting this together for him.
Seriously, those are like the presents that you get from your uncle. Just to be like, I don't have to deal with that shit. Here you go. Here's the loudest fucking thing I could possibly give you.
Yeah, I know. But,
and every uncle does it too. I know I did it to my nephew. I'm like, okay, I'm going to drop this off.
You're a good uncle.
See you next year, pal.
You're a good uncle, Myrr. And you beat your brother or sister or whoever it is that you're the parent for your nephew.
Oh, no, he got revenge on me.
Well, you got to imagine your parents probably had fun putting that together. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, and for me, I was one of those kids. Oh, dude,
nice. You remember this stuff right here, man?
Yes.
So this stuff right here, was the things that. Whoops, that's a little bright.
It's okay.
I'm trying to get it there for you.
Yeah, I remember these
booklets.
Yep, the little booklet, man, and you just they would have. These were the things dreams were made of, man.
Yep.
You just sit and ogle about this stuff.
And you know how the Transformers had the exact same thing.
I know. And okay, I had that one, and I could quite literally say, okay, except for the Terror Dome, I practically had everything on that page. I mean, I did. And the crazy thing was, growing up as a kid, whenever me and my mom and grandmother would go to the store and everything, and if I behaved, I told a story similar to this. If I behaved, if I was good, I got to get one toy. And oftentimes that's how I built my collection. Now, I'll share this story. I don't know if everybody has heard it, but I think a few have. And it's not actually related to G.I. Joe or Transformers. It's related to Star Wars. My grandmother and myself and one of her friends in the neighborhood, they went to the local Kmart. And grandmother told me, if you're good, you can get a toy. And everything. But I was a very well-behaved kid. I was kind of the quiet one. I mean, I was loud and rambunctious around my friends, but I was with my grandmother. I was with my mom. I behaved. I behaved. I stuck with grandmother and her friends and everything. And she's like, let's go to the toy department. I was like, yay. And we went down. You know how the Kmarts, they had the toy aisles broken up. One was G.I. Joe, one was Transformers, one was Star Wars, one was He-Man. We went down the Star Wars aisle, and there on the peg was Darth Vader, and I was like, I want that one. And grandmother looked at me, and she's like, "Are you sure?" I said, "Yeah, I want that one."
I had that stealth fighter. I had almost all that.
Oh, I did too.
All the G.I. stuff, the vehicles, every vehicle I had.
Yeah, let's see. Yeah, I had that one. I had the one with the cannon on the back and the part that came off the front. I had the stealth fighter. I don't think I had the copter. Oh no! Don't show the shuttle set, Enosh. We don't want to see it because none of us could afford it.
Oh,
I could.
Is that on here? That's not on here. Actually.
Yes, it
is. It is. Oh, there it is.
I told you not to show it. And he's doing it now. Up towards the top of the page, I had that too. I got all the vehicles that built that little. You're killing me, Enosh.
Battle Force 2000. Remember that?
That's it. Yes, that's what I had. I remember getting every single piece of that sucker and building it and playing with it. And it was so much freaking fun.
Oh yeah.
I mean, so, but yeah, it's just, yeah, Cobra, the enemy. Well, duh, they're symbols of Cobra. I had that sucker right there, up towards the top. That has got the double bubble cockpit.
The bug.
Yeah, the bug, the Cobra bug.
Yep.
And I had the stiletto, which I learned later was actually something that was actually kind of sexy. Who knew?
Well, I got stilettos over my head, so I don't know what that means. I got one right, bug.
Yes. Okay, I walked into that one. And I'm surprised Loki hasn't taken the bait.
And the checklist, man. I loved it this one.
I know.
I loved it this one. Some kid actually filled out the checklist.
Nice. I got that one and that one and that one and that one. I got that one. I need this one. I need 2 of those. Well, guys, I feel like me and Enosh have kind of monopolized the conversation.
I know.
Loki, Myrr, Brian.
Look, all I'm saying, whoever actually like filled that thing out, I am so jealous of that little shit right now.
Right?
Oh my god.
I think that kid just like went crazy just checking off stuff because I don't see that, like, I don't know. Remember these though? Oh, I don't know if you can see that, but the specs for this is actually for the stiletto. Yeah. That's actually for the stiletto.
I remember that. I remember they had the specs for each vehicle. And of course, you had the character card on the back of every figure that gave their background, their specialty, the whole thing. And Getter 92 brings up a very good point. 80s toys, you can't be beaten, really. It's just so much quality. Even the lesser-known brands were good. Yeah. And these were toys that were built well. These were toys that were built to be played with. And
not only that, they were so creative.
Well, of course.
Like a Timex watch, they'll take a licking and keep on ticking.
And these were so great because you got the backstory of your figure. You know, like if you didn't know, what the figure was about or whatever, if it wasn't on the cartoon, like at least you had like some kind of specs. There's Dusty, right there, and it was just I mean, it was so cool to cut those out. And then what was cool? Do you guys remember flag points?
Yes, vaguely, but yes.
Yeah.
The Baroness. The Baroness.
I actually remember back in the day where I think my parents had gone up to Canada and I found a G.I. Joe, action figure up there, and it had those personnel files in the back that were was one at the top that was in French and the one at the bottom was in English.
Yes.
Like, I don't give a shit. I love that thing. I just
absolutely.
Okay.
Sorry for interrupting you, Ambassador.
No, you're fine, Mary. You're fine. I was just going to make a pair. He showed that card, the Baroness, and I thought, I can't help. My mind went here, and I didn't mean for it to. The Cobra Dominatrix, because think about how she's dressed.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah. Well, I mean, the women, dude. The women. I mean, you had Scarlet, you had the Baroness, you had Lady J. So we got to go around. We got to go around. Who was your G.I. Joe crush? The woman in G.I. Joe that as a kid did it for you?
Scarlet was the redhead, right?
Yep.
Yes.
Scarlet.
Yeah.
Baroness.
I'd agree with Scarlet on that one.
Anybody else?
Damn, dude.
Honestly, I'm a swing outside the fences. Jinx.
Oh, little Asian thing going on there.
I like a woman who can kick ass. I mean, granted,
with a blindfold.
Yeah. Well, okay. All right. And we need to talk about the movie. We have got to
Absolutely.
talk about
mine though.
Movie.
Mine was Lady J because she had that little rasp in her voice.
Oh.
And to this day, and there was an episode. There was an episode where like she puts on like this long red dress.
Mm-hmm.
And in real life, I don't usually go for short hair, but oh my goodness, in that episode, she's wearing like this long, silky red dress, and she's got that raspiness, and plus she was Flint's girl, and Flint was my guy, man. Flint was the dude, and because I lived in Flint, and he was my favorite character, and I just, man, Lady J.
I can respect that. I can totally respect that.
So, at one point, very late at night in, was it 1985? I stayed up while decoding Cinemax one night, and what was it called? A bachelor party had happened to come on, and they were just, everyone remembers what bachelor party was. It was extremely raunchy, raucous comedy starring, Tom Hanks.
Yeah.
And I just remember this scene that just summarized the whole thing with the G.I. Joe women. It's like, I envy you. I wish there was I had someone that I could love, someone I could trust, someone I could really respect. Hey, look at the cans on that bimbo. And there you go.
That's how it was, man. That's how it was. Every time somebody would seem to have a serious moment, it seemed like it would get taken away somehow,
Absolutely.
Yeah. But the movie, I mean, I'm just going to say I never got to see it in theaters. I saw it on TV and they broke it up into sections. And I think it was on a cable channel and they actually had Sergeant Slaughter doing the intro and the outro for each episode, each part of the movie.
Cobra.
And of course you had Don Johnson, Burgess Meredith, of course, Sergeant Slaughter. And of course, this I know we're kind of going, but we're going to be going in reverse order. But the G.I. Joe the movie came out after Transformers the movie, which we will.
Well, that's why it never went to theaters. G.I. Joe the movie was never in theaters. And it was because of Transformers the movie, because Hasbro had a whole thing going on where they were going to release G.I. Joe the movie, but they had released Transformers the movie, and people forget this, but Transformers the movie did not do well at the box office.
It was a shit show.
Not only
Yeah,
that, dude,
I saw it in theaters.
crying. There were kids crying, leaving the theater.
Yeah,
Just sitting there, and my dad's like, "Do you want to go?" I'm like, "No, I want to see what happens." But yeah, dude, they were all crying and leaving the theater.
you don't kill off that guy and
no.
think you're going to get away with it. And so like it
It's all because
bombed.
of that asshole.
Yeah, it tanked. It tanked. And so the thing was Hasbro totally reeled in all of that about the movie. And so I think they actually had a My Little Pony movie as well that they were going to do, because they had all these ideas for movies. And so they reeled all that back. And that's why G.I. Joe, the movie, was split up into 5 parts and just made part of the afternoon stuff. And occasionally on Saturday afternoons. I think the first time I saw it was all in one block on a Saturday afternoon, which was a treat because you didn't get G.I. Joe on Saturday. That was a weekly, a weekday
like after
thing.
school kind of deal.
Yeah. So like, to wake up and, then like around noon and G.I. Joe was on for 2 hours. That was huge.
If I remember correctly, I think Duke was actually supposed to die.
He was supposed to die, yes.
And then after what happened with Optimus Prime, they reeled that shit in real fast.
What's the deal with that? What is the deal with that? Where they were like, "Hey, we're gonna kill off all your childhood.
We're gonna kill off all your season 1 people."
The company in Japan that was making those stopped making that line completely. And Hasbro was like, "Well, we're gonna go over to this new line of new toys that we don't have to get from them. We can just make them all here. We don't have to rely on anybody else. We can have our own line of toys." And nobody wanted that. They wanted Prime and they wanted all the G1.
Yeah,
they got killed off.
Yeah,
well,
it was all a toy thing, dude.
Yeah,
all about the toys.
Lots of great lines, though. Lots of great lines from G.I. Joe the movie, though. I mean, the whole Cobra Command. You got to see Cobra Commander's face.
Yeah.
Like, and and it wasn't like the comic book where he was like a normal guy. They developed that whole, and I still don't know how I feel about like the whole Cobra Law thing. Like there's part of me that like, yeah. What do you guys think of it? Because there's part of me that still kind of likes it because I
loved it. I had them. I had the figures. I got the 3-pack. Well, and just real quick segue. Sci-Fi Dragon brings up this question. I don't know if anybody else has asked this question, but what did you guys think of the G.I. Joe movies, the live action Rise of Cobra and Retaliation?
I didn't see them.
I think they were fun, but they weren't exactly deep.
Yeah.
I saw Rise of Cobra. I never saw Retaliation. Here's the crazy thing: you can find those on just about any free streaming service anymore.
The
So-
Rock's in the second one, right?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I would say the first one,
Very close.
unfortunately, the first one suffers from the fact that it's kind of a introduction to G.I. Joe
Mhm.
where they're introducing Cobra. And so it's kind of weird because they mixed up the characters of Cobra Commander and Dr. Mindbender kind of like in what they
Yep.
were. And then you don't really get they punked out and didn't really show Destro until the end, and it was just this brief little second. And then like there was all this promise for the sequel now, because now you got a proper G.I. Joe, you got a proper, Cobra, and then they come in and a Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow
Mhm.
were awesome.
Yep.
Like you can't take that away. Ray Park.
You beat me to it. 2 seconds.
Oh yeah, Ray Park is Storm or as Snake Eyes was phenomenal, and the guy who did Storm Shadow, that was good, and they got that relationship right. I
Mhm.
felt, but Retaliation. The thing about Retaliation was they punked out and they killed Duke, right? So they killed, and I'm not a Channing Tatum fan, but like you kill Duke to replace him with The Rock. And then, which is fine as Roadblock. I thought he was good casting as Roadblock. And then I'll be honest, it had a lot of the parts right. Like it had a proper Cobra Commander for once with the helmet, and he looked like Cobra Commander. And like the plot was, a lot of people hated the plot, but the plot was totally cheesy 80s G.I. Joe plot with Zartan imitating the president and all that stuff. That was all brilliant stuff.
They
Where
had to throw a lot of money at Channing Tatum to get him to even come back and
Yeah.
do that little cut scene because he did not want to be in the first movie. He only did it because he was under contract.
Yep.
And the second movie, they had to throw money at him just to get him to come in and do a little.
That's a
short
shame.
scene.
It's a shame. It really is a shame because it had a lot of potential there that like they could have really expanded, and but the thing was I like the second one a whole lot more just because it looks a lot more like G.I. Joe, but they punked out again. And well, I say they punked out, but it is kind of a Cobra Commander thing what they did to Destro because Storm Shadow breaks out Cobra Commander out of the prison or whatever, and they leave Destro there, and basically Cobra Commander's just like, screw you, I don't need you, and leaves him there. So
God, if that wasn't the plot of like half the G.I. Joe series, I don't know what was.
Well,
exactly.
okay. And Enosh brings up a great point, and this is the whole thing about the cartoons and the movies. Okay, and getting into the movie, tying in the fact that Serpentor wasn't actually Dr. Mindbender's idea; it was actually Globulus and everybody else in Cobra Law's idea to create Serpentor because, well, everybody's getting tired of Cobra Commander screwing up all the freaking time. And
Once was a man! I was a man!
and very, very, very quickly to the chat, Polyhedral Paradise, Jason P. Preston. It is good to see you. Good to see you, my friend. And I have been checking out your stuff on your channel, folks. If you are a lover of, just a quick plug for Polyhedral Paradise's channel, if you are a lover of Dungeons and Dragons or role playing or anything like that, the nice kind of role playing, not the naughty kind, go check out Polyhedral Paradise's channel. Do it.
Why not both? Just
Here.
why not both, man? Hey,
There.
Channel After Dark.
What?
Bad Myrr. Bad Myrr. Shame on you.
So you were saying about Serpentor.
Well, but that whole plot line of Serpentor was actually supposed to take over as Cobra Commander because Cobra Commander, let's be candid, he was incompetent.
Yeah.
He was an incompetent leader. Okay, and I'm just going to say this. The opening to the G.I. Joe movie. Oh, my gosh. The most cheesy, over-the-top, patriotic, kick-ass thing in the history of the world ever. Period. Full stop.
Cobra.
Oh, and I imagine everybody in this chat knows this. The man who did the voice of Cobra Commander did the voice of Starscream.
Yes.
Yep.
I'm sure everybody knows this.
And it was equally as incompetent.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was just. I honestly feel bad for the guy because not only did he play an incompetent character on G.I. Joe, but he did the voice for one on
I
Transformers.
know. He got the shit end of the stick on 2 franchises, man.
But you think about this too. You think about this. If you ever got to meet that guy in real life, you'd be like, dude, I want to buy you a beer.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, but you know what though? Let's be honest with this. Yeah, he might have got the short end of the deal on that whole thing, but he only used one voice. So I think he didn't really put a lot in. No.
Nope.
Hey, well, that's a great segue though, because Cobra Commander appeared on Transformers.
Yep.
Honestly, I don't remember that.
No, was it? Yeah.
He appeared.
And then Starscream also appeared in G.I. Joe.
Yep, he appeared in an episode where he called himself the Snake or something like that. And you heard the voice throughout the whole thing, but he's wearing like a trench coat and a hat. And at the very end, he kind of takes off and like you see just the silver mask. You don't see the blue part. You see the silver mask, and it's supposed to take place in the future. And so he has that, but then he starts to yell Cobra and he starts coughing. So he's like, and so like that it was Cobra Commander the whole time.
Yeah.
Your over easy mode in chat said Serpentor wasn't much better. Serpentor got what did they do? They genetically messed him up somehow. It was like they were supposed to collect DNA from all the like great conquerors or rulers around the world, and somehow or another, instead of one of the great conquerors, I think they got it was like Sergeant Slaughter or something. Yep. They got his DNA instead.
Yeah, they put in a fat wrestler. Like, can we talk about that? Can we talk about that for a second? Like, I love Sergeant Slaughter. Don't get me wrong, but let's talk about how they totally overhyped Sergeant Slaughter in G.I. Joe.
Oh yeah.
Oh my god!
Like seriously, like Sergeant Slaughter would literally take on like 30 guys by himself and just like toss them. Like they were nothing, and like he was completely buff, and he was like their drill sergeant and stuff. And then you'd see Sergeant Slaughter in real life, and he's like, "Hey, dude."
Well, then they ruined him in the WWF.
Yeah.
Tell you what, dude, when that happened, I had my action figures, and that son of a bitch was literally in the brig.
Oh.
Yep,
he was in the brig in G.I. Joe Command on the naval on the carrier.
Yes,
every Sergeant Slaughter I had was in jail somewhere.
Traitor.
That's right.
And the thing is, the more time went on, the more his blood type was Jello instant pudding.
But you got to give it to the guy. If you ever watch him wrestle Hulk Hogan in WrestleMania 7, I know it's not the greatest match ever, but you know what? The guy is flipping from the top rope. Like at that size, he was very agile for his size. I mean, he was doing stuff that you just don't see big guys do. So you got to give him that. But he was a great spokesperson for the brand. Yeah, for sure.
Well, and Sci-Fi Dragon brings up a great question. I think this is one that we really need to address. Would you like to see a full-on Transformers G.I. Joe crossover in live action?
Yes. And and he's right, because that's what they're planning on doing is building up to a crossover in a cinematic universe between G.I. Joe and Transformers and several other properties. There's even talk of them trying to bring back Mask. And because it's at one point they made Matt Tracker an honorary G.I. Joe. There's actually a Matt Tracker G.I. Joe action figure. It's one of the newer ones. It was one of the newer ones that came out in the 2000s, but they made him a G.I. Joe. So
there's a G.I. Joe there's a Optimus that comes with what was it, Sergeant Slaughter. There's an Optimus Prime that came with Sergeant Slaughter.
I think I remember that.
It was camouflaged.
Yeah, and Gitter brings up a good one. He's like, I'm so dying to see Hasbro give all the 80s brands a screen time, like Mass, Visionaries, Centurions, and
I remember Centurions.
I remember Visionaries. Yes,
A bunch of us are still waiting on our damn Thundercats movie.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, they did an animated movie and everything that introduced the Lunatics and the three new Thundercats, Pumira, Lynx, and who was the other guy? Who was the other one? The one that was blind.
Lynx was the one that was blind. Pumara was the girl, and then you had the Tigra lookalike that was white and black.
Yeah.
Nobody ever remembers his name.
Yeah.
Now you know we're. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead, Enosh, please.
No, because I it was about GI Joe, so I don't want to.
No, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say that they got this new Snake Eyes movie coming out.
Yep.
What?
So
they're writing a what?
They're rebooting the whole thing. It's already. I mean, it's already filmed. So it's just waiting now, I guess, for all this stuff to go on. But as far as I know, it's in post production. And what's weird about it is, Snake Eyes was a blonde-haired, blue-eyed white guy.
Yep,
basically, who was in Vietnam, who was injured, and that was the whole point of the conflict between him and Storm Shadow in the comics and everything was. And you know what's funny is those two characters were so elusive as far as their action figures and as far as like getting to see them, but like they really weren't in the cartoon very often.
No, but that was the great thing.
Yeah,
that was the great thing about them. The less you saw them, the more you wanted them.
Yeah, but you got these little tidbits of their backstory, and of course the comic books did a lot of that.
I was about to bring that up. There was one storyline I remember in particular where they were actually going to do facial reconstruction surgery on Snake Eyes, and they actually go through with it and everything, but he still wears the mask regardless. And there were so many great storylines, maybe not so much in the cartoon, but the comics. At times, the comics got really heavy. Yeah, I think that's one of them. They did another one and everything. It was like a 3 or 4 part series and everything.
But they got this new Snake Eyes thing, and that was the whole point. Was Snake Eyes trained under the Hard Master?
Yeah,
with Storm Shadow, and Storm Shadow was Asian and hated Snake Eyes because he was a white devil. That was the racial aspect of. They were brothers, and they would come to agreements. And of course, with the action figures, Storm Shadow ended up converting over to becoming a member of GI Joe.
Yeah,
later on because he really didn't care about Cobra. He was literally just out to he was out to what was it? He was out to find the only reason he worked for Cobra was because I think it was Destro promised him to help him find out like who killed somebody. And when it came down to it, he found out that it was Zartan. Yeah. And so he left Cobra after that, and because he was never really a bad guy, and that was the thing. But him and Snake Eyes had this issue between them because Snake Eyes always hated the fact that he was a white guy and that he was respected by the Hard Master who trained them, and was respected more and above Storm Shadow, and actually attained more. And so the weird part is. And we talked about this the other night on my channel. I had some people of color and different backgrounds talking about like race bending in movies, and just in media in general. And it's interesting because they hired an Asian guy to play Snake Eyes. And I'm not saying it's good, bad, or indifferent. I'm looking forward to the movie, but it's a kind of an interesting thing because it kind of takes away that aspect of the character a little bit. Yeah.
Well, because Snake Eyes was American. He was an American. He was an American boy.
Yeah.
So honestly, I could understand why they did it, but I don't necessarily approve. I'm not going to go like rage hate. And,
yeah. That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
And everything. But yeah, that's not true to the source material, even though the source material is a cartoon. It's a glorified commercial.
Yeah. Right.
But, I will say this about the G.I. Joe comics. They had some truly great storylines. And I'll say this for the artwork for like the comic books of G.I. Joe and Transformers, the artwork was so darn good. It really was. You look at the panels. I remember one and everything. I remember when they did a comic adaptation of the Unicron storyline from the movie, and I never got a chance to watch the movie until years later when it came out on VHS and everything. It was in one of those hard clamshell cases, everything. I finally got a copy of it, and I was like, "Oh my gosh! I finally get to watch this thing I never got to see in theaters." And they killed Optimus Prime. You dirty sons of bitches! You killed Optimus Prime,
Yeah.
and then you bring in Robert Stack. Everything is Ultra Magnus. Ultra Magnus was a wimp compared to Optimus Prime. Yes, the covers. I even think I had that issue. Enosh, did you steal my collection?
Maybe.
Did you steal my comics? I'm gonna have to come find you now. Yep, I think I had that one too. I think I had that one too. Damn you! You stole my comics, you dirty jerk.
And I had this one as a kid.
Yeah, is that Cobra Commander his new armor? I think.
Yep.
Yeah. I actually had that Cobra Commander. I never could find the original with the. I could never find the one with the chrome dome face. I couldn't find the one with the hood. But I got that one.
And how many of us went crazy for getting Zartan, Xandar, and Zarana?
Oh yeah.
I like those characters.
I did too. And then the toys, you would bring them out into the sunlight and they would turn blue.
Yeah. So, well, okay, Brian, you've been. I feel like I've monopolized the stream, and I don't mean to. Anything you want to comment on? Anything you want to bring up? Just anything. I'm gonna shut up for a minute.
No, not really. Mostly just like I'm just listening along. And digging the toy collections and stuff like that. Like I said, I was born in the mid '80s, so a lot of this stuff I never got to see it until the '90s, and for me it was mostly like the X-Men toys. Like I remember my Weapon X and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had a couple Alien toys. Like I think I had Bishop and a couple other ones.
Brian, I should have had you on my my Marvel stream the other week and everything when I was talking about Marvel toys. That would have been perfect for you. Well, this is like pop culture education for you, Brian.
And it's perfect. I'm learning well.
Yeah, you've got good teachers. Bunch of old crusty white guys. Let's see, I had that one. I had
crusty.
That one I didn't have. But I had that one. I had that one. And let's see. Yeah, I had the Chopper. I think I had most of the Dreadnought stuff because the Dreadnought stuff was actually really cool. Dreadnought stuff was so dang cool. I mean, it was insane. It was like, yeah, I had that, and I had that, and I had that. Yep. Oh, does anybody remember? Well, some of us do. Caleb Richardson, get to the chopper.
No.
In the chopper. Does anybody? Okay, what was I going? The Iron Grenadiers.
I remember that. Yep.
When Destro split off and formed his own organization, he got the gold mask.
Yep.
The man, that mask was cool. And there's the Bat. Had that one. There's an actual Iron Grenadier, and there's I think that guy there with the gold helmet and the gold arm. I think that was Destro's right hand man during the Iron Grenadiers.
That's Voltar.
Voltar, yeah. Yep. I had both of those. Yep. Mm-hmm. Everybody's going, shut up, bastard.
So that bat is actually a custom because there's a group called Black Major. And they make these custom like bats and like Snake Eyes figures, and they're their own thing, but they took the molds and they made these new figures.
So this bat is very fragile.
I can imagine. The Polyhedral Paradise.
Got that bat, and I got these gold bats.
Oh, and there's Commander on his throne.
Yeah.
It's good for blast you, Enosh. You've got two hooded Cobra Commanders and the one in his armor.
That one up there is also
a custom.
It's like a version of the armor.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then I got this Sergeant Slaughter.
Huh.
As commander of the Vipers.
Oh, hell yeah.
Hey, honestly, I'll say this. I love the Vipers. I love the Viper armor. I liked it better than I did the Crimson Guard or whatever it was called. And you had the two twins, Tomox and Zaymont.
Yeah. And one had the scar, but
And
the
one
toys were screwed up because the toy has the scar on the wrong guy.
Yep, pretty much. And Mando Merc. Mando Merc, it's good to see you. Mando Merc is like, Ambassador, I hate you right now. I've started my own show in 2 minutes on my Twitch, and you're live talking about all my favorite icons, the Transformers.
Yeah.
Sorry, Mando. I hate to do it to you, man, but there's only so many hours in the day. I gotta stream sometime about this. So, oh yeah, let's see. I had that one. Hey, there's the Cobra Dominatrix right next to the Cobra Brainwasher.
That's my baby right there.
You mean your baby mama?
Oh man.
Oh, good grief.
Did I mention how cool this was, by the way?
Yes, you did. Yes, you did, Brian. You did.
Goodness.
Look, I'm going to speak for everyone in on the live stream and everyone in the chat room. When I tell Enosh, congratulations, you son of a bitch.
Hey.
God damn it.
Language. I'll mute you. I'll give you the Loki treatment. And Polyhedral Paradise brings up a good point, and I'll mute Myrr. I'll be nice. The Mystique toys are the ones worth serious cash. Yeah. Polyhedral, you are not wrong.
Yeah, like the multicolored Boba Fett's and whatnot.
Yeah. And the multicolored Darth Vaders. I don't think I told anybody this. I recently got a couple of other figures from the 77 line. I actually found a gold-colored or gold-painted Death Star droid. And I was like, wow, this is rare. I didn't think these actually existed. All I ever seen was the silver Death Star droids, but I found a gold one. So,
Ambassador, I have got to hop off of here.
Okay.
Thank you for the invite, guys. It has been a pleasure hanging out with you guys. Have a great rest of your stream. I love Transformers. So,
well, hey, Loki, do you want to plug anything before you go, bud?
I do Mornings of Mischief, 8 a.m. on YouTube every Monday through Friday. I've got a Tuesday and Thursday stream at 7 p.m., 7 Kinds of Mischief, where we talk comic books and Greek mythology, Norse mythology, battles, whatnot. And I do a game stream at 5 p.m. on Wednesday and 5 p.m. on Sunday.
So, folks, if you have not subscribed to Loki, go. I'll put the link to his channel in the description. If you can't find him, go subscribe to this guy. He is an awesome guy. He is a great friend of the community. He's a great friend of mine, and just a really righteous dude. So, Loki, you have a good night, my friend. I'll talk to you later.
You too. You guys have a great one.
You too, man.
Peace,
Nice
man.
meeting you.
And bye.
You're welcome, bud. Anytime. So, all right. Well, we've spent about an hour talking about G.I. Joe. Why don't we transition and we talk about the other topic of the evening, Transformers?
No, that's something I actually had as a kid. I had a couple Transformers growing up. When you busted out the little mini ones, I remember distinctively having a couple of those. I mean, but it's been so long. I mean, 30 years.
Yeah. But yeah.
I used to love these little guys because it was so funny because you get these little ones and then you get like these great big ones. And
it's Beachcomber and is it Sea Spray?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Good job, Myrr. Big brain. Got the,
I used to have them back in the day.
Yeah, okay, this is another story I can share about my very first Transformer I ever got. I mean, I remember this. I remember to this day, and I actually cried the day I accidentally broke it. After my father got back into everything, got out of the hospital, we would go out for lunch and everything at least once or twice a week, and because he couldn't work full time just because of his health and everything, because he was recovering from heart transplant surgery. but we would go to the local mall and we'd go have lunch, and then we'd go for our walks around the mall because he needed to get his exercise. And in this, as in every mall there was across the country, there was a KB Toys.
Mm-hmm.
God, I miss KB Toys.
Me too.
Forgive me, I was mean, disrespectful. And we would stop in the KBs and everything, and he's like, "You can get a toy, get one." And everything. And this was us trying to bond after him being gone for so long because he had to be away for his transplant surgery and the recovery and all of that other stuff. And the very first Transformer I got was Mirage, the blue Indy car. And I was like, I'm gonna get the. I was like, I like that one. And played with that thing. And after Dad was gone, I put that thing away, and I somehow or another it got broken. I was just absolutely heartbroken because that was the one Transformer that Dad was able to get for me and everything.
Yep.
And what have you. But I collected those suckers like crazy. Watched the cartoon, the comic, the whole spiel. Loved it to death. The only thing I never got to do was see the movie in theaters. And when I finally got to watch it, I was like, they killed Prime. You bastards killed Prime.
Yeah, man.
This is some depressing shit for someone who wanted to go see that in the theaters, man.
I know, because Optimus Prime, he was the hero. Okay, Optimus Prime was like John Wayne. He was like the cartoon John Wayne. John Wayne never died in a movie. Never, ever died in a movie. Well, there were a few times when John Wayne did die in a movie, and everybody hated it. Yeah, there's the guy right there, the man we're talking about, Optimus Prime. Enosh, question, does it still have the little holographic sticker on the top?
So this is an original that does not.
Yeah, wouldn't have it as an original.
Yep, this is so.
Actually, no. The originals did have a little holographic.
Holographic stickers didn't come out to Series 2.
Yep.
Are you sure?
I'm absolutely positive.
Okay. All right.
Yep. And actually,
it has been 30 some odd years.
And actually, now that I think about it, so this second one here, I didn't realize this because I thought that this was the second series, but he also does not have that. So that was because they put out the holograms, the little touch sensitive hologram things. And here I got another one that's got one on there. These little for anybody watching at home, these little things right here, these little touch things. They were just little stickers that they put on there. That it still works.
I remember when they would change from Autobot to Decepticon.
So look at that. So it still works. You can still see it right there.
So you see that little black spot right there on Astro Train?
Yes.
Yeah. It's temperature sensitive.
Yeah. So the thing is, though, is they put those on there because of bootlegs.
Yep.
And they were they wanted to distinguish the real thing from the bootlegs, and so they put those little temperature sensitive things on there, and I guess that worked for them. Well,
and Polyhedral Paradise brought this up, and Gator kind of 92 kind of went into it. Can anybody explain why Jetfire was a ripoff of Macross? Yeah, because if you remember in the cartoon, Jetfire looked completely different from his toy.
Yes.
I mean, completely different from his toy and everything, because it did look like a Macross jet from Robotech.
Yes.
And everything.
That's exactly what it was.
Honestly, I don't know the exact reasoning as to why. Gitter, I think, gave us about as a good explanation as any.
The reason why it was why that happened was because these are robots that transformed into things that were originally set up for were Japanese, and they were Japanese only. Then they wanted to bring it over, those same toys over into America and make even more money on it, on this side of the pond. So they had to find a way to, at least get kids interested in this, so that they could harass their parents and have us buy more toys.
Right.
And so that's why, if you notice, the toy lines for the original ones, they all have yellow eyes, but yet in the cartoons, they're either blue eyes for Autobots and red eyes for Decepticons.
Yeah.
And let's not forget the wonderful voice talents of Peter Cullen and
Frank
Welker. I mean,
Oh yeah,
my goodness.
honestly.
And you didn't even realize how many characters that they.
Yes.
Well, Peter Welker,
Play.
not only did he do the voice of Prime, he did the voice of Ironhide.
Soundwave.
Yeah.
Welker did Soundwave.
Did he? Yeah. Yeah. So
I used to love it when Optimus would say, Ironhide.
Yeah.
There's just something about when he said that. It was like, Ironhide.
Oh, hold on. I need to transform. There we go.
Oh,
nice.
Sorry, mine's better. Mine is supreme. Mine is superior to yours. Even though it's awesome regardless.
Megatron, is that you? Here's a hint.
Oh, yeah. Okay, now can I just say it? Leonard Nimoy as Galvatron was awesome. Absolutely awesome.
He did a fantastic job. I mean,
Well, of
come
course, you had Robert Stack as Ultra Magnus.
Yep.
And you actually hear Ultra Magnus cuss. He's like, "Open, damn it, open!"
Open. Yeah.
That's what she said.
Uh-huh.
I'm sorry.
I remember Spike. It's like, we even damage that thing. Oh shit! What are we going to do now?
What, in a cartoon?
Yeah.
I know. These cartoons were not made for children.
But I mean, come on. Orson Welles as Unicron?
And it was his last role.
His last role.
His last role as Unicron.
Yep.
I mean, how cool is that?
Well, hey, what a way to go out. I'm sorry.
Dude.
I am Unicron.
I mean, by that time he looked like he was going to eat the earth, but you know.
All right, let's have a little.
Hey, I can say that I used to weigh
for the dead
430
here.
pounds. I used to weigh 430 pounds myself. I was a fat guy. I can say that.
I still am a fat guy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm still a fat guy, so I still got
on
fat
that.
cred. I got fat cred.
But
That's
you
right.
have a little respect for the dead. This man is
Oh.
no longer with us.
I was
So,
talking
dude.
about Unicron.
It was a competition between Orson Welles and Marlon Brando, okay? They were both going to do it together.
Oh,
It was
all
a tag team effort.
That's it.
That's
I'm
the
playing-
sequel. That's the sequel. Unicron.
Oh man.
Time out. Until you show some respect for the dead, you are muted. Hang your head in shame. You. Okay. All right.
I have the utmost respect for them, but that's still pretty damn funny.
They were both fat.
Yes, they were. But yeah,
It's okay.
But here's the crazy thing: we had to wait 20 years until we got a decent Unicron toy, because I don't know if anybody ever saw the original.
It was garbage.
Oh yeah.
Oh man, it was so bad. Polyhedral Paradise is like Coronation Starscream. This is a bad comic.
So going into like something that you guys know that I'm pretty much a gamer, they repeated this exact scene word for word in Transformers: Fall of Cybertron in the game.
Really?
Yeah, literally almost word for word. It's pretty neat.
I love that comment there that you got up, Ambassador. You got the touch.
Oh God,
You got the power.
I got karaoke.
where the hell's my mute button? Damn it!
Dirk Diggler.
I have got to do that on a karaoke stream somewhere along the way, either on here or somebody else's.
Oh God.
Well, he was
Stan
also Marky
Bush.
Mark in the Funky Bunch, so I mean, Feel the Vibrations is one of what. If you didn't dance to that song, you didn't live. I'm sorry.
That's true.
Come on. Oh, feel the vibration.
There was like a little dance we used to, like some weird line dance we used to do back in church dances and stuff. Yep, on point.
Yeah,
You gotta do that. You gotta do that lip thing. Come on. Feel it.
Honestly, Jens brings up, the soundtrack for the movie, even though the movie
He's gonna do that the rest of the stream.
Uh-huh.
was crap, but at the same time, the soundtrack was so darn good. And not to mention, they actually had the guy do the voiceover narration for the beginning and the end.
Ambassador, I feel the people below us are watching a night at the Roxbury. I'm kind of creeped out.
Oh, I love that movie.
Him,
Doug
him,
and Steve
me,
Butowski.
him.
Are you guys brothers? No. Yes.
Yeah.
Now the best part was when they're like Emilio Estevez, and he tipped his hat like this.
Hey, Gitter's like, if you do the touch Ambassador on karaoke, I am so there for it. I may do it on a random.
Hey.
Rambling Canuck and everything has a karaoke stream every Saturday night. I might just bounce over there after we're done and do that song and then leave. Like,
Weird Al Yankovic.
Yep.
Dare to be stupid. Dare to be stupid.
Which that song actually came out before
Yes.
Transformers the movie.
Yes. But a great use of the song.
Absolutely.
Jason, how could you?
Oh, no.
Jason, dude, not cool.
He
No,
tossed it
not cool.
and leave it, and I'll pull up quick to retrieve it. So- Please, no, give me the toy. I'll give it a good home.
Jason, Jason,
You can come home with me. It's okay. It's all right.
He won't
Jason,
hurt you anymore.
I will
It won't-
remember you.
Jason, Polyhedral Paradise. It won't be this month, but because this month, actually next Friday, I'm doing a Ferris Bueller's Day Off watch party next Friday night. But maybe we can do it next month. We'll do a Transformers '84 watch party next month.
Wrong song. It's hi there. I'm Enosh V. And millions of Transformers go homeless every year. Like this guy, Little Red.
In the arms.
But you can give this
of
guy a
the
little
angel.
just give this little guy a nice home. Simply give him to me. I'll take him and add him with all of his buddies so that when I go to bed, they can all come out and party and play, just like on Toy Story. Can you imagine the party? Can you imagine the party going on in this room?
Please
Give your
send
toy.
us.
Please send us.
Please
all
give us your
toys.
donation of your weight in battery acid.
Yes, just your gift of one Optimus Prime a month can make a difference in my life.
Holy fuck, Sally Struthers.
Sally Struthers, we're sorry. We're gonna have to get a new one. Sally Struthers ate the last one.
I feel like
Thought it
Dr.
was Nick Claire.
Frankenstein who said, "My God, what have I done?"
Sally got to this one early. All that's left is the cab. We're so sorry. She even took the back off. Please give another Optimus Prime so we can join it to its caboose.
I think we broke the ambassador.
Can we talk about Rodimus? I mean, can we bring it back?
Is
Is there any bringing it back after that?
Oh, okay.
Hi, I'm Optimus Prime.
My face hurts. Stop it.
Millions of Transformers are lost to Megatron every year.
My face hurts.
And Orson Welles' stomach.
Or Marlon Brando's.
The biggest threat is Orson Welles. Let's get this straight.
Or Marlon Brando.
Or Marlon Brando.
Go Colonel Kurtz all over the place.
Unicron is a lie.
It's either Unicron or Jarrell. I'm not sure which.
Unicron is a lie. It was always Orson Welles. Please keep Orson Welles away from your
God.
Transformers.
I'm crying.
Only friends don't let friends have Orson Welles play with their Transformers because Orson Welles eats them.
Just like War of the Worlds.
Now transform and roll away from Orson Welles.
Loki left too early.
So let's talk about the Quintessence for a minute.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, yeah, let's do.
And
Let's talk about
shall
the
we say, ba weep, grana weep, nitty bong.
Ba weep, nitty bong, destroy the great poobah.
Oh my gosh. That was Orson. That was Orson digesting. Right there.
That's some better, yeah.
Okay, all right. One thing about the Transformers, okay, there's numerous things. The fact when Unicron is actually eating a planet, it makes the chomp sound inside. Chomp, 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 chomp.
It looks like a giant butthole eating stuff.
It really, it really does.
I mean, let's be honest.
No, that okay. I can't believe
It's like some cosmic sea urchin coming along.
Exactly.
Lord, please forgive me what I'm about to say.
Oh no.
Maybe they recorded Orson eating in between recording sessions.
Yeah, wouldn't be wrong.
Yeah.
Would not be wrong.
Hold on 1 second. All right.
All right.
Orson
right.
behind the scenes, Orson Welles. Oh, so these are the things that I'm supposed to be voicing. Oh, that looks pretty tasty.
Yeah.
Chomp.
You can just hear that in the recording studios.
I am beautiful.
Okay, let's actually get something like the serious here for a minute. Let's talk about the opening volley of Transformers the movie. Is that a more like terrifying cartoon that you've ever seen in your life before Akira?
Okay. All right.
Man.
Mirror.
Yes, sir. I know. It was fantastic. This is like one of my favorite like
Orbilis, it's Unicron.
Yeah.
Help us! And this ship gets sucked right into Unicron's gravitational field.
This is one of my
I'm
favorite.
sorry, I'm just
like,
imagining that episode of Family Guy where Peter has orbit around him and like they
yeah.
I'm imagining Orson Welles sitting in the recording booth with like Transformers like go,
oh, it's a good thing. Oh, Enosh, it's a good thing you and me are saved, or we'd be going to hell.
Well, folks, this stream is the wash.
to quote Conan O'Brien, we're gonna go to hell when we die.
I love Conan.
To hell when we die. We're gonna go to hell when we die.
My wife could come up and give us a blessing.
So, but seriously, but yeah, but you guys bring up a good point. Like, why did Optimus turn like black and white when he died?
Because he lost all of his energon, and the matrix of leadership was taken out of his chest. So yeah, he went all gray and died.
But look how many other Transformers did that. You had Wheeljack that went.
Yeah.
What was his name? Prowl.
Yep.
He was the first one to go that route. And there's Wind Charger was another one.
You guys remember the episode that shortly after, because after the movie, obviously everything changed.
Yes.
And they had the one episode where, and I had totally forgotten about this, but you can watch all episodes of both G.I. Joe and Transformers, like everything, on the Tubi app.
Yes.
The Tubi app is absolutely free.
Know that. I have the Tubi app. Tubi.
It's all absolutely free. It's all absolutely free. And they have like every generation of Transformers. They have every generation of Transformers. So I rewatched some of that stuff, and I had totally forgotten that there was a zombie. I mean, if killing him wasn't bad enough,
zombie Optimus. Yes.
You're going to tempt kids with zombie Optimus, come back and like with a bloodlust to kill all the Autobots.
That was the one where they ended up going on to like the Autobot mausoleum that they sent out into space and whatnot.
Yeah. And it didn't make any sense because that was like him, but yet, and at the end, he's just basically like,
kill me.
Yeah.
Let me die. And then they still brought him back.
But then the very next episode, he's fully repaired, sitting on in the ship. Where the hell did that come from?
I don't know. But what did you guys think of Rodimus? Because, you know, I always felt that Rodimus Prime I always felt like Hot Rod and Rodimus Prime, you know, got an unfair shake just because of the fact of what Optimus meant to all the kids, and because the kids absolutely hated the fact that Optimus was dead.
Yeah, honestly,
so, Rodimus was the flawed leader.
Yeah,
you know, he wasn't the one. He couldn't be what Optimus was, but yet he was the one that was chosen. And, you know, so. Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's a crazy expensive toy right there.
Easily 400.
Okay, I'm gonna say this, and it's completely appropriate. That's no toy. It's a space station.
Yeah,
that's a toy. It's a moon. That's no moon. It's a space station.
It's a giant Orson Welles butthole in space. Is what it is.
I would hate to see what Marlon Brando looks like.
It's the same thing, except for it's got slicked over hair. Is it? And it costs you like $5 million for a cameo.
That's it.
Yeah.
Okay.
But no, I mean seriously, like Rodimus, I think you're right about Rodimus though, because like I always felt like I could relate with Rodimus.
Yeah.
Where Optimus was obviously the leader and always what you wanted to be, but like Rodimus was kind of like learning as he went, because he didn't come into it thinking that he should be the lead. Like I hated Ultra Magnus. I absolutely hated Ultra Magnus. I thought Ultra Magnus. I thought, look, there's a word for Ultra Magnus, and I thought he was a jerk. But it begins with a capital D and ends with a K. I did not like Ultra Magnus, and I hated. Yep, Doomcock. There it is. That's who he was. I hated Ultra Magnus constantly coming in with fake Star Wars news. Like it just ticked me out. No. But no, seriously, like Ultra Magnus came in like acting like he just was going to assume leadership. And it was like, we didn't even know who Ultra Magnus was at that point. Like, it's like, oh, my trusted friend, Ultra Magnus. And it was like, who?
At that point, he had like 4 minutes of screen time. What the hell?
Yeah, no. I mean, like, that's when he should have looked over and went, Ironhide, you know, somebody, you know, anybody besides this guy that nobody knew, you know?
Or how about someone that's been in like, how about Blaster? He was in season 2, you know?
Somebody, Bumblebee, for goodness sake. I don't care, you know? I mean, like, but it was weird. It was weird that like Ultra Magnus just came in kind of like with this attitude that like he was going to take over. And I was so glad that he did not end up being the chosen guy, because I never liked him.
Yeah. And hey, Polyhedral Paradise, check your DMs on Twitter, bud. Yeah, honestly, it was. I'll say this for the movie. It had some great one-liners, and honestly, I thought the voice cast, particularly the more well-known actors and everything that did the voices, did a really great job.
Yeah.
Okay, and I'm going to say this, and this is a pet peeve with me in terms of Leonard Nimoy and Transformers. And it goes to Dark of the Moon when he plays Sentinel Prime or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody probably knows where I'm going, but he uses the line from Star Trek 2.
Yep.
And I was like, Leonard Nimoy, I just lost a little bit of respect for you, even though I have a feeling he was probably told he had to say that line, because that line means so much to so many Trekkies, and they cheapened it. And that garbage fire piece of crap, Michael Bay, garbage dumpster fire, Transformers 3, Dark of the Moon.
Well, can we talk about your offense to Trekkers right now? Because Brian's smiling right now because you just offended every Star Trek fan out there, because they are Trekkers, not Trekkies.
I've
heard both is accurate, actually.
I can go either way.
Is it either way now? I remember that used to be a big deal. Like that was a huge deal for a while.
Yeah, with Cosby's movies.
To quote William Shatner, Get a life.
Right?
To quote Captain Pierre Quincy Taggart, there's no freaking gamma override. It's just a TV show.
Yeah, you know what? I understand what you're saying, Ambassador. You know what? I was actually a little more, and I wouldn't say offended because I'm not offended by it, and it was kind of cool, but I was a little more perturbed when I watched Star Trek Into Darkness. When basically they took the roles of Kirk and Spock and just totally reversed them and used the exact same dialogue, because my wife was sitting there with me and she had seen Wrath of Khan before, but man, I grew up on that movie and I know that movie like inside and out. And so like I'm sitting there like, you know, she's like, how do you know this? And I'm like, because it's the exact same freaking dialogue from Wrath of Khan, except for they've now taken it and moved it years ahead and switched the roles. And you know what? Kirk doesn't need that. Kirk never needed that. He didn't need to save everybody and do all that. Was the whole point of Spock.
Totally unnecessary. No. Like I said, I've said this before. And in 2013, when that god awful movie came out, I still burn over it because oh man. And people are like try to diminish it and stuff like that, but I swear, like we've talked about where Star Trek's given people middle fingers and stuff like that. Mine was Into Darkness. Okay, so I mean,
I was actually on a stream earlier today and everything with Arista Chaos. We were talking about the she was wanting to do a discussion on the 3 and everything. We only got through the first one, so she's going to do another one I think next week or whenever. But yeah. That was I'm not a Trekkie, a Star Trek fan, but even I have an appreciation for respect for lore, respect for canon, and everything. And I'm not saying I'm trying to talk out both sides of my mouth, because I did give Abrams credit where credit's due, and everything in terms of being a director and everything. But yeah, that for me, that was a major sticking point with Into Darkness. Aside from that, there's good stuff in Into Darkness. It's just it's such a big glaring thing.
Well, about the only thing that I liked about it was Peter Weller. Other than that, I mean, and I do like the younger cast from 2009. I love Chris Pine, Zach Quinto. I'm a huge fan of Carl Urban, and I love him as the Doctor.
Yes,
but I didn't watch Beyond because of it.
Beyond felt like a glorified episode. Is what it felt like. It didn't feel like
I honestly never got a chance to see it and everything. I wanted to see it because it looked good and everything. So.
The thing that got me about Into Darkness is that Abrams actually forced Cumberbatch to lie about his character.
Yes. Yes.
And he's, said, he's not Khan.
Oh, it's John Harrison. It's John Harrison. It's like,
and then he said,
when he's like, I am Khan, I was
spoiler alert for the people who haven't seen it. It says, I am Khan.
Okay, and I must, one more comment, then we'll get back on topic and everything. I'll just say it and everything. I think Benedict Cumberbatch would be a great voice actor for Transformers.
Oh yeah.
Whether it's live action, because if you think about it, he has a great voice. I mean, Smaug, for crying out loud. Freaking Smaug.
He's fantastic. I mean, I loved him as Doctor Strange and stuff like that. So
yeah,
I like Benedict Cumberbatch, and I was excited to find out that he was in the movie. But like I said, there's
not Khan.
Certain things you don't tread on, and I'm sorry, that's just one.
Yeah,
there's you talk about like your bait and switch. Like, how do you take like a guy who has a specific culture to him, who has a specific look, like Ricardo Montalban, a presence about it, and then you make him the whitest white guy you possibly can, and then try to make him like all the way he kind of overacts that role, with the whole mouth thing, I am Khan and stuff, and it's like, no, you're not. You're a white guy trying to play. I don't know who you're trying to play because you're not Khan.
Ricardo Montalban.
There was just so many issues with that movie, but I mean, going back to those lines and everything, Kirk didn't need that. Kirk won so many things, and I love Kirk. And Kirk saved the day on many, many opportunities and always came through. But that was the whole point of Star Trek, The Wrath of Khan, was Spock ran down,
Yep.
sacrificed himself. The needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few. You know, I never took the Kobayashi Maru test. You know, what do you think of my solution? All those things. Chris
Mhm.
Pine doesn't need that. Chris Pine's good looking and he's good as Kirk and he can go on and fight more battles. Man, no. It was like they totally undid that, and that just ticked me off. So that actually ticks me off more than that. But I mean, what do you guys think of the other live action movies?
The Transformer ones.
Yeah, the Transformers one. Yeah.
I checked out, honestly. I saw the first two in theaters. I didn't even bother with Dark of the Moon. I saw it on I think on DVD or something.
Yeah, I saw it
and
streaming somewhere, and I was just like,
and after that, I checked out.
I never saw Bumblebee either. Like,
Now I've heard good things about Bumblebee.
Yeah.
I heard Bumblebee was actually really good.
The
I did like
first
John
15
Cena,
minutes of Bumblebee were absolutely amazing. Being able to see the Transformers on Cybertron in their G1 states was incredible.
Yes.
It's like if anyone who watched the cartoons back in the 80s knew exactly who those Transformers were. And I'm like, oh my god, it was glorious.
Well, I was sharing with you guys before we went on. I mean, we did a trailer reaction to it, and I lost my freaking mind. I mean, like when I saw Ravage pop out, and there was Soundwave, and there was Shockwave, and Optimus and everything, and they look that way. I mean, if that's the future, which I think it should be, because that was one of the things that took me. I liked the first movie, and I even liked the second movie, but the designs were so bad. I felt like Optimus was all right. Optimus kind of looked like an updated version, but it was so jagged and so just weird looking, and they didn't resemble. And I know there's been lots of incarnations since Gen 1, so I get that. Mm-hmm. But it just seemed like they went so far away from everything we knew. I mean, Starscream looks weird. His like Dorito body looks really strange. And I remember too, look, having these toys here, at least when we had these toys as kids our age, we could transform them. Okay. My son was like 4 or 5. And my cousin bought him a Bumblebee for like his 5th birthday.
That didn't transform.
And he could, it transformed. It transformed. But the problem was he couldn't transform it. And it literally took me like 5 minutes to transform the thing.
Yeah.
And I'm an adult, but it was like all these little tiny jagged pieces and stuff would pop off. Mm-hmm. And it would, and so like he would come to me, he's like, Dad, transform Bumblebee for me. And so I'd transform it and go, okay, here's a robot. And he'd play with it for like 5 minutes. He's like, hey, turn it back into it, Dad. And so I ended up going out and buying him just a car that looked like Bumblebee that was the same size. And I told him, hey, look, man, because it just became too much. I mean, trying to transform this thing. And so I gave him the car and I said, look, you could pretend that, this is the car mode and then you have the robot mode. And so he did that. So they just made him way too complicated.
Yeah. I actually bought go ahead.
No, go ahead, Myrr. Go ahead.
I was just say I bought my my kid a Transformers, like an Optimus Prime from the Bumblebee movie. And, if you're, back in the 80s with the Generation 1 stuff, you can kind of figure out like what you're doing to transform the thing from one thing into another. This thing, I actually got to a point, I'm like, honey, I need the directions. This should not happen to any guy.
The thing that they did with the Transformers when they brought out the first movie and everything was they tried to make the transformations accurate to how it looked in the movie, but they went too far. And that was a problem. The great thing about the Gen 1 through like Gen 2 or 3 of Transformers was the transformations were simple. They kept it simple.
Yep.
I mean, except for maybe Omega Supreme or Metroplex or Scorponok, like the bigger ones.
Mm-hmm. Metroplex was easy as hell.
Yeah. And I'll say this, even as a grown man, I still want a freaking Omega Supreme.
Oh yeah,
me too. Oh yeah,
man, I wanted Omega Supreme so bad. I had a friend in the neighborhood who had one and everything, and we played Transformers, and he would let me play with his because we were good friends and everything.
Yep. And the only one I didn't have was Fortress Maximus.
Oh, Man. Mm. Dang, that one was cool as hell.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the great thing about these toys. Everybody had them, or some people had ones, and other people had others, and be like, "Hey, let's all get together and play with our Transformers. Let's play with our GI Joes," and be like, "Hey, dude, can you bring your Terradrome and your GI Joe mobile headquarters that has the 3 sections? It looks like the giant tank or whatever."
Yeah. The mobile command center.
The mobile command center. Or, hey, can you bring your Metroplex? I'll bring my Optimus and my my Megatron, and let's have a war here. And I'm going to say this: one of these days, when I have the means, I'm going onto eBay, and I am getting a Gen 1 Megatron. I always wanted one, never got the chance, and I'm like, every Megatron since then just to me looks inferior.
Let me break your heart. Let me break your heart for a minute.
Here he goes.
Don't do it.
No. I wish. I do not have a Gen 1 Megatron.
Okay.
I had one when I was a kid, and that sucker was so hard to transform, and it looked bull-legged, and his triggers stuck out from his crotch.
Yep.
And it was so weird looking, but I had that. And honestly, I kept him in gun mode most of the time just because it was much cooler to play with as a gun. Like, I romanticize about that figure still to this day.
A Walter PK.
But to be honest with you, yeah, a Walter PK. But the thing is like the parts for like the scope and all that stuff was like really complicated for an 8-year-old kid.
Mm-hmm.
And trying to transform it was really that was the one that I will say was really complicated for a kid back then. Was Megatron. But I swear to God, I wish I had one of those today.
At the very, very end, it looked nothing like Megatron.
No, and that was the problem. the head kind of resembled Megatron, but none of, and it had like the part that went across like that, but none of it looked like Megatron. And to be honest with you, so what I ended up doing was, for like years when I was a kid, I took that scope. It looked like a wireless microphone from back in the day, and like I would like. And I ended up going around the house like singing with it and stuff, and like used the scope thing for like a cannon and like stuff like that for my GI Joes and stuff. And it breaks my heart because I wish that I had it, because those things are so expensive now, Ambassador. It's insane.
But you know what? And hey, Polyhedral Paradise, Jason, I sent you a link if you want to come on, man. I sent it to your DMs on Twitter if you want to join us or anything, because something tells me this is going to be kind of a long one, so we're going to be going for a little bit longer. So if you want to come on, Jason, get in here. Unless you send me a DM, which you might have, and said, "Hey, I can't."
That's a sad sentence there. My dad broke my Megatron.
Comments to ever grace the screen of the Ambassadorial wing. Wow. That's heartbreaking.
The closest I ever got to some of the other Transformers was like Power Rangers and stuff like that.
We did not speak of Power Rangers here. Power Rangers are lame. Power Rangers suck. Power Rangers are inferior to Megatron.
Say that to the Megazord and the Dragon Zord, man.
I knew I liked you, Ambassador. Power Rangers suck.
Power Rangers are well after my time.
Long live Voltron.
Goddamn right.
Long live Voltron, not these knockoff Power Ranger pieces of crap.
Well,
long live Princess Aurora.
I'm going to say this right here and now. Death Battle settled this argument once and for all. Voltron, the Lions, kicked the ever-loving crap out of the weak-ass Power Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Bam! Mic drop. Done.
They turned keys, man.
No, what'd you say?
You're not even holding the mic.
The original multicolor robot driving force right there, baby.
There you go.
That's that. No, you know what? I've been angry at the Power Rangers ever since they came out, because I remember one night.
The OG. Those are the OG right there, not the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Those are the straight OG right there. And they didn't need mild gymnastics to kick ass. They just kicked ass because they had those kick-ass lions.
We can blame Haim Saban.
Well, you know what? The thing is that
lame.
You know what? I remember as a kid. Well, not even as a kid. I remember. Well, yeah, I guess I was kind of young, but I wasn't too young, I don't think. But I one night I was up watching TBS, right? And it was like probably 3, 4, 5 in the morning almost. And I'll never forget there was this Japanese movie on that had subtitles.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm watching, like I was flipping through, and all of a sudden I see this thing, and it's like people in colored outfits looking like Voltron, jumping around, doing weird, crazy stuff, fighting stuff, and they got robots and stuff. And I'm like, oh, this is like some old Japanese movie. And I'm like thinking to myself, good Lord, that looks just like Voltron. It looks like live action Voltron, but like with, little toys and stuff. And so I'm watching this thing, and I watched probably about a half an hour of it. And I kid you not, 6 months later, literally 6 months later, all of a sudden I see on a Monday afternoon, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. And I'm like, wait a second. That's that movie I just watched. And then I'm like watching this thing, and they're all like, it's Morphin time and everything. And I'm like, and to me, it was like a knockoff of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles with the name like Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. I was like, what is this crap? I'm too dignified for this. I'm not going to deal with it. And I know I take a lot of crap, and I don't mean to give you a hard time.
No worries, man.
It was just like all my friends were into freaking Power Rangers, and I was just like, what is this? No, man. You give me the Voltron Force any day. And then they took, and they've kind of taken the possibility or like the prestige of actually having a live action Voltron away. Between that and Pacific Rim, they've kind of taken the possibility of like it being something, because they've been working on a Voltron movie forever. And the fact that we've already seen big robots fighting kaiju and big robots fighting each other in Power Rangers and everything, by the time they do a Voltron thing, nobody's going to
play it out. It's going to be played out.
Played out, yeah.
And polyhedral, dude.
Ooh.
You have your priorities right.
I had one when I was a kid. It's bad as fuck.
Yes.
I just remember the knockoff Power Rangers, the VR Rangers or whatever they were. That's what I had.
VR Rangers.
The true knockoff is Power Rangers. Everything else is a derivative of
or Beetleborgs.
Beetleborgs.
Beetleborgs. Oh man, that was. And hey,
the very ranky Rangers.
Very
VR Rangers. VR Rangers, the very ranky.
Well, didn't that have it had what was his brother from Blossom?
Burn. Jen Spender's got the burn of the night. Damn.
Oh.
Ouch. And to the chat, Zebrafett, good to see you, sir. I hope you're doing well. Oh man, this is good. I am so glad I decided to do this stream. I'm so glad I probably got
do that for a half an hour.
But yeah, trying to get back on topic.
I will say this.
Yes.
The Power Rangers have one of the coolest theme songs.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had to watch it. I would play it.
I played a few years ago. My band was playing this place, and the band that went on before us busted into the theme song to Power Rangers, and I was like, "That's awesome." That's awesome. And we're all singing around because it's a dumb theme song when they're
but it
like
had the coolest bending guitar notes. That was
like go Power Rangers. The part that I always thought was dumb.
I need to reel this back in.
Was when they actually say you mighty morphin Power Rangers, you like that was just okay.
Okay, I'll make this comment. The Voltron theme song was 10 times better.
Da, 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 da,
remember who voiced the announcer? One Mr. Peter Cullen.
Coming from parts unknown.
A legend.
A legend.
I'm going to say this right here.
Right? The universe.
Voltron, defender of the universe. And then it would go, Voltron, defender of the universe.
The synthesized voice, yeah.
Now hold on though, but it's got to be Lion Voltron.
Yes,
not the car one.
We do not speak of the car Voltron. Just like,
I had a friend who had car Voltron. The only time I thought car Voltron was cool was when car Voltron met Lion Voltron.
That's true.
That was an awesome episode.
The only time car Voltron was cool is on Robot Chicken.
Okay, so just putting it very simply,
And Enosh just know what I'm talking about.
the Power Rangers are to Voltron like Marlon Brando is to Unicron.
No. The Power Rangers are to Voltron what the GoBots are to Transformers.
Oh,
That's low, you son of a bitch.
hey! I had a Leader One. Leader One and Psykill were cool.
Yeah,
No, they weren't.
They were the only cool ones.
No, they weren't. They were never cool. I mean, for heaven's sakes, when Megatron and Robot Chicken pretends to be dead because he feels so bad for the GoBots.
I love Robot Chicken.
Who doesn't? It's on HBO Max and it's awesome.
Oh, it's great.
Oh, man.
Oh my goodness.
All right.
GoBots. Well, you know what? But seriously, like GoBots, like the battle between GoBots and Transformers was real, man. Like,
that was real shit.
Yeah.
Back in
Yeah,
83, 84.
It was extremely one-sided.
it was,
Yeah.
but you know what? But the thing is, though, is I mean, GoBots had definitely had a presence. I mean, and it, you know, it was kind of like a lot of things in the 80s that were just kind of testing out. I mean, you had Beta and you had VHS, right? And you had, you know, just a lot of things like that you got two things of the same thing kind of put out there. And, you know,
You have your
you had to
choice.
choose one. You had to choose one.
I will be fair. Yes. All right.
So, no, I won't say that.
Go ahead, Enosh, please.
Well, there's this old thing. It's going to sound incriminating, but it's not. But you know why we ended up with VHS, right? Instead of Beta.
No.
Oh yeah, they talked about it in what was that movie? Tropic Thunder.
Yeah. So the reason why we ended up with that, and it's also the reason why we ended up with Blu-ray instead of HD DVD, for the same exact reason, was because when those technologies were created and the adult movie industry went to utilize those things to bring adult films to homes, they chose VHS as their medium to do it. And that is why it is, because it overwhelmingly sold. And so therefore we ended up with VHS, and it's the same reason we ended up with Blu-ray instead of HD DVD. So my question was, is that how they chose Transformers?
Maybe.
Well, RC did show up in the movie.
Yeah.
Okay. Also,
Okay.
the difference between HD DVD and Blu-ray was also a capacity issue. I think at most you can get about 8. It was up to 8 gigabytes on HD DVD, and Blu-ray was at minimum 16 and could go up to 64.
I'm just trying to find laser discs, man.
So we are talking multiple featurettes here.
Well, you know, I recently saw that they actually put the Transformers movie on DVD, and I'm like, do I want to buy this?
Oh, that's the Blu-ray one.
I'm Blu-ray. I've got it on DVD. I've got it on DVD, and I'm good with that.
I have the DVD version. I did buy the Blu-ray, and then I uploaded it to my movie server just so I could. Yeah, it's if you are watching it on a widescreen television, yes, it's worth it.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. Not to mention it's Unicron, and of course that music. That
Orson Welles seems bigger somehow.
That's Marlon Brando now.
I didn't think it was possible.
Well, you know, and here's the amazing thing about we had never seen a villain like Unicron before, like ever. And it was like, this wasn't Megatron. This wasn't the Quintessons. Okay, I'm sorry. The Quintessons were lame. There, I said it. A five-headed robot race.
They're definitely no Insecticon.
Yeah.
Let me tell you.
Yeah, or the Sharkticons.
The Sharkticons.
Yeah, they made
everything was a Takan.
Yeah,
Predacon,
Well, I mean,
Predacons,
I remember
Destructicons.
like with Beast Wars, what I talked about earlier. I mean, how
Yeah, go ahead,
basically they
Brad.
were all different animals, and you know what I mean. That I like that a lot. And the CG animation on it was like really ahead of its time at that. You know.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, and you know, even now, I mean, if you can, the storyline. Okay, I'm just gonna say this. For a glorified commercial, sometimes they had some really good storylines.
Oh yeah,
Absolutely.
there's story.
Oh,
That was me.
Oh,
We got storms rolling through. That was me.
there's storylines that involved both GI Joe and Transformers that
Mhm.
that we still
Yeah.
remember from our
Yeah.
childhood.
I mean, just in the opening, if you guys remember, More Than Meets the Eye, part 1, 1, 2, and 3.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, come on, tell me, was that a you couldn't find a better storyline anywhere,
It's good stuff.
you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
I totally dig the transformations too, where it was like terrorize, and then they would turn into their
Mhm.
Yeah.
respective. That was pretty cool.
And the best part was when you were watching the cartoons, especially when you're watching like Optimus Prime transform, you would actually be able to do that in the toy.
Yes,
They tried to match it very, very closely
Yes.
to how it appeared in the cartoons.
absolutely. And the sound, the transforming sound, like classic. I mean, it's just all those things that just remind you. I mean, and how the characters interacted with each other, how Starscream interacted with Megatron. You know, I mean, my goodness, that's just great stuff. I mean, it's just
Well, okay, and I remember this was in the comic book and everything. I think it was right around or after the Unicron story arc and everything, where no, it was actually before that. Bumblebee actually became leader, and they did a major revamp on Bumblebee's look and everything. He actually looked really cool.
He transformed into Goldbug.
Yeah, Goldbug instead of Bumblebee, and he was like, that Bumblebee was badass. I mean,
I
he
think
was.
that was series 3 or 4.
I want to say 3, maybe.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. But I think he was in 3, and then he was still Goldbug in 4. But if I remember correctly, that was like towards the what was it, the Return of Optimus Prime, the one with the hate virus.
yeah. Now, do you remember in the comic books, since Ambassador, you read the comic books, do you remember how they turned him into Goldbug in the comics? Because it's relevant.
It's been a while since I read it. I mean, you're talking about something I haven't laid eyes on until like 30 years.
So I didn't get to see Transformers the movie in the theater. My grandma had these issues with movies sometimes, and sometimes we could go see movies, and sometimes we couldn't. Talk about Star Trek. So there was like a time where we're like, oh yeah, we could see movies and stuff. So we rented Star Trek 5, and oh my gosh, Dr. McCoy said damn, and that was like, my girl's like, this is why you can't watch movies, and I'm like, oh gosh, man, come on, really? But she'd go back and forth, but at the time.
But what does God need with a starship?
Exactly. What a great movie. I love that movie. I love that one. But the thing is that, so I didn't get to see that in the movie, in the theater. So I relied on the comic book. So I bought every one of those comics and I read them to know what happened.
Primus, Scream. Yeah.
Yeah. So I read those, Well, shortly after that came out a comic book series. It was a 6-part mini series, G.I. Joe and versus the Transformers.
Oh, okay.
And it was a crossover between G.I. Joe, obviously, and the Transformers. And G.I. Joe was not aware of the Transformers. Okay. And so in that, you're talking about the space station, right? So in that, G.I. Joe was launching that for the first time, the space shuttle thing that they had, right? And so they had that all ready to go. So wasn't that the
Skylinks?
Yeah. No, it was was it?
It might have been Skylinks, maybe.
So Skylinks, he did there was the space shuttle, and then the bottom.
Oh no, Skylinks is a Transformer.
Yeah.
Space shuttle. I was talking about the GI Joe.
Oh, okay, my bad.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So GI Joe was launching that, right? And it was like this big deal that was being covered by the media and everything. Well, Optimus had sent Bumblebee to go and protect everybody during this time, to like scout out and see what was going on, because it had something to do with the Transformers or whatever. And so Bumblebee was undercover, and Prime had told him not to reveal himself, whatever he did, not to reveal himself. Well, one of the Insecticons had gotten in, and they were mind controlling, I think it was General Hawk, and it got like on his neck or something like that. Yeah, and so it was. So you remember this?
Yeah, Bombshell. He had he put a cerebro chip on the base of his neck.
Yes, and so General Hawk.
Sorry.
Yeah, so General Hawk was being controlled, and so it was going to do this whole thing, and so Bumblebee had no other option but to transform and reveal himself as a transformer. And it freaked everybody the heck out because all of a sudden there was this giant robot and he was literally there trying to save a kid, if I remember right. And he saved the kid, but G.I. Joe did something weird there because G.I. Joe was like, I always felt that G.I. Joe, they always had kind of a level head to them. And they were looking at this giant robot and Bumblebee is standing there like talking to them saying, look, I'm not a threat. And he's trying to explain himself. And like literally they start yelling. They're just like, destroy the thing and ask questions later.
Yep.
And they literally just rip through Bumblebee. I mean, it was something else. I mean, it just shows them they just basically ripped through Bumblebee with gunfire and just totally destroy. And the last thing the Bumblebee says is, I'm sorry, I failed you, Optimus. And so somehow they end up getting him repaired. And when they get him repaired, because they end up figuring out about Transformers and Autobots and Decepticons and what was going on. And so somehow they get him repaired. And when they get him repaired, they bring him back as Goldbug.
Goldbug.
Okay.
And that was how Goldbug was introduced in the comics.
Okay. Yeah, I wasn't aware of that. But yeah, honestly, Brian, that's fine, but we're probably gonna wrap up here in a few minutes anyway, because we're I do want to let's go around the horn because I do want to wrap this up because we've all got stuff to do. But this, guys, this has been a lot of fun.
Yeah,
hilarious.
You can almost hear it. My stomach's rumbling.
Let's go around the horn, and if you can, one favorite character from each franchise, and go. Or
speak up, huh?
Okay, let me put it this way. From Transformers, one favorite character. From G.I. Joe, either one favorite character or one favorite vehicle. Go.
All right, for me, the Baroness, hands down. You know, I like me a bad woman.
Then why did you marry a pastor?
Because I'm a bad man. I'm a bad man.
No, you're not.
Yeah, as far as Transformers go, Soundwave, hands down. I mean, that guy was such a badass. And yes, he is. Hold on, I can put him on the screen here. There he is in the box.
Show off
with Buzzsaw hanging out there inside. I'm sorry. He was easily one of the best damn Transformers ever.
He was.
You know, and supposedly he was supposed to have not made it through the movies, but yet there he was in the right in the beginning of season 3 afterwards. Yeah, I just watching all those them shooting out all the cassettes. Although didn't they have it where the blue cassette was Rumble?
Yes. Rumble.
The blue bot in the cartoon was Rumble, but somehow the red one is actually Rumble in the toys. So there's a little bit of a continuity thing there.
Yeah, but it's forgivable.
Yeah. It was just awesome to see him use the pile drivers, man. That was just I love that. You know, he caught so much trouble with that shit.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, well, Brian, I know you don't know a whole lot about G.I. Joe, but Transformers, even if it's more modern than it is.
No, I liked Rhinox in Beast Wars. He was one of my favorites. But all around the horn, I'm going to go with the baddie. I loved Megatron. He's always been an awesome villain as far as the Transformers is concerned.
I agree. Yeah. Good choices.
And he was just so quintessentially evil. You love that.
Oh yeah.
Ravage.
Ravage.
So mine's pretty boring. If I got to go Transform, somebody asked me this in our live stream, and I said, it's so vanilla and boring, but it's the truth because it was my childhood, and I got to go Optimus for Transformers. He was the man. He literally he just I was right there crying with everybody when he died, and was so happy when they brought him back. And then like I said earlier, I got to go Flint. Flint was even though Duke was the technical leader, like when they first, being that
When
Flint.
they brought General Hawk in, yeah.
Yeah, and then later they brought General Hawk in, and and everything, and he was technically in charge. But the thing was that Flint just had a personality about him that was just better than all those guys. Like he had Lady J, and even though Duke had Scarlet, Duke just seems so straight laced and just like kind of bland. And I love Duke. But Flint was like the cool guy. Like Flint, like he wore the beret, even when he like I don't know. Do you remember the I think it was like a 2-parter, like Welcome to Springfield or something like that, where like they messed with Flint's mind and they made him think that he was like married and had a family or something like that, and he was living in, and it's like showed him driving a convertible in his jeans and like a polo, and he still had the freaking beret on.
Yeah,
he was still cool like that. And yeah, I loved his outfit. It was like my favorite action figure growing up. I just loved that action figure. And yeah.
He was the biggest badass in a beret.
and plus, like I said, it was cool because I was from Flint. So it was like, yeah, it's Flint.
I actually lived there too for a while.
Did you?
Yeah.
Not to mention,
I was
go ahead, Myrr.
maybe like 15 minutes outside in like Goodrich.
Oh yeah. I got friends in Goodrich, man. I live in Flint Township now, so I'm just outside of Flint, but I lived in Flint, growing up. So yeah.
Well, not to mention anybody that's voiced by Don Johnson is automatically awesome.
Hell yeah, man.
Falcon. Don Johnson voiced Falcon, which was Duke.
Now,
he also another beret wearer though. Another beret wearer.
That's maybe where I got across because they both wore berets. So
yep.
Okay. Well, as for me, favorite character from Transformers. This is gonna be hard.
Orson Welles.
Marlon Brando.
I'm gonna have to say honestly, my favorite Transformer, Astro Train, just for the simple fact it was a triple changer, and I love the triple changers.
Nice.
I think I have both of them. I had Astro Train, and I had the other one that was a tank. Blitzwing. Yeah, the train changed into a tank and into a jet. Yeah, there we get it.
It's right there.
I had an original Astro Train growing up.
Yeah, me too.
And I missed that. There's like toys that like you ever have toys that like you wonder like where they went?
Sometimes.
Like, because I don't remember because I had all the aerial bots. I had that Megatron. I had Astro Train. I had like a ton of these figures. And I honestly don't remember. I had Brawn. I had, the reason why I bought these two guys was because I had those originally, and I had a bunch of the little ones because they were really, Cliff Jumper and all that stuff.
My favorite of the little ones was Cosmos.
Oh yeah, Cosmos. Yeah. I remember Cosmos. And so like I had a bunch of those, and but yeah, it's weird because like you look back and you go like, what happened to this toy?
Yeah.
I have no idea to this day what happened to my original Voltron. I don't remember giving it away. I don't remember trading it for anything. I don't remember I know what happened to all my He-Man toys because I was freaked out by them and I sold them all at a yard sale. Because they were just freaking me out. But
and I'm gonna make one comment to the chat. Polyhedral Paradise, Jason, I call BS. Everyone cried when Optimus died.
I didn't.
No,
I didn't. And I saw it in theaters.
I don't believe you. You say you're human.
But like I was rooting for him to die the whole time.
I say I'm fat, not human.
and to the chat,
what movie?
Heretic, Drew Taylor, good to see you, my friend. Drew, I don't know if you got this message or not, but great show the other night. Folks, if you have not subscribed to Drew and everything, Supreme Heretic, he does a great channel. And I think it's every Thursday night and everything, or Friday nights, one of the two. Every week he does a live stream where they discuss Battlestar Galactica, the reboot, and great discussion, great panel over there. So if you have not subscribed to Supreme Heretic, go over and check him out. But as far as G.I. Joe goes, favorite character, favorite vehicle, because I have one of each. My favorite character, honestly, was the Bat Robot, the Bat Droid from Cobra.
Oh
no.
Oh yeah, the Battle Android Trooper.
Yeah, I loved that thing. Loved
God,
it to
I remember
death.
that.
Loved it. Yeah.
I never had one growing up.
No, me
I
neither.
could never find one. They were never there. I had friends who
I
had
did.
it, which is why when I started like rebuilding this collection, that's why like I bought like I've got like 3 original bats, and then I found a bunch of those knockoff bats. You know, they make these different types of bats and stuff. That's why like I started buying all the ones that I could find because they're a pretty penny, but every once in a while you could find them for a deal. And so they're different color schemes and stuff. And so I always loved the bats as well, but I never could find one growing up.
I had one. Only one, but I had one. And my favorite vehicle, I think you showed it, Enosh, earlier. It was a white snow vehicle. It had the twin cockpits, one on top of the other. Loved that thing to death. They had the rocket launcher that opened up on the side. And it was a Joe vehicle.
Mhm.
On the side?
Yeah, it had a rocket launcher and everything. It was concealed. The rocket launcher was concealed on the side.
Oh. The Battle Force 2000 one?
No, not that one. Not that one. It was all white. It had treads on the back. It had skis on the front. There was it was a dual cockpit. It was almost like the cockpit on a jet fighter or something. And then it had a rocket launcher that you pushed up, and the missiles were exposed.
The Snowcat?
Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah, that was my favorite vehicle right there. That and the one that had the cannon and everything that was pulled behind and everything. It had the smaller vehicle on the front that towed it everywhere. Yep, that's it. Bam.
God, I remember that.
Yeah, that's it. That is it. Well, there was that one. Then there was another one that they did also. That was, I think, in the later line and everything, or one of the later lines. But yeah, that one. It was that one.
Tiger Force one.
Yeah,
the
but
same
I had
vehicle.
that one. I had that one. Yeah, that was my favorite right there. Love that vehicle. So
This one sounds like the one you're talking about, though, man. That's why I asked if it's
Mhm.
the Battle Force 2000 one, because tell me if I'm wrong, but that
nope, that's not it. That's not the one I'm
you're
thinking
talking
of.
about like opening up and
No, that's not. No,
okay.
no, I had that one, but that's not the one I'm thinking of. I'll have to send you a picture of it or something
Yeah.
to show you what I'm talking about.
For
So,
sure, man.
okay. Well, folks, we're going to go ahead and wrap up because Brian needs to eat, and honestly, it's getting late here. But I want to thank y'all for being here tonight. Myrr, Enosh from Poindexter Lounge, Brian, and Floki, even though Loki left. I appreciate you all guys coming on. This has been a great conversation. I have thoroughly enjoyed it, and I hope, Brian, you have learned something, because even though you were born in the late 80s, this was all stuff that we grew up with, and I hope everybody had a great time tonight.
I did.
Indeed.
And again, folks, if you have not subscribed to this guy right here, go subscribe. He is a great channel. He's a great guy. I cannot speak more highly of him. He has become a good friend of mine.
Shucks.
I'm glad we found you, man.
I love you guys.
You know what? And you know what? And I'll say this:
The feeling's mutual.
Well, he came from the least likeliest corner, Mad Max, who is also. I know, like I've said, I know Mad Max is not everybody's cup of tea.
Yeah, but he has a tendency to bring people together, though. I like that.
Yeah, yeah.
Indeed.
Much does. I mean, hell, it was because of Max I met Brian. It's because of Max I met Enosh and Fett, and so
I loved your video, by the way, Ambassador, talking about all the different channels that have kind of come together through that whole thing. I think that's really cool.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thank you. Well, it's been on my heart. It's been on my mind. So go check it out. And believe it or not, folks, I just checked a little while ago. Well, it's been a couple hours.
I'm gonna say, are you 300 yet?
295.
All right,
come
5
on.
away. 5 away.
We are 5 away from 300.
I gotta make
We are 5 away from the 90s karaoke and music discussion night. And I know
good songs picked up.
I know Brian is chomping at the bit, as am I. So
Well, I'll get you 2 when we get off the air right now, and maybe 2 more if I can get a hold of my other 2 boys.
Well, I want to thank everybody for supporting this community, for being a part of this community. Whether you have been here since the start or you just recently became a part of it, as I said this morning, and people like Drew, like Brian, like Myrr, everybody that's in the chat, Jen Pender, who has been here quite literally. Jen Pender has always been here, just like Ambassador Kosh.
Like I said, I'm always here to support you, my friend.
So, and this channel, this community would not be nothing without you folks, and I appreciate every single last one of you. So, quick plug.
Yo, Joe.
Next week, I will have 3 installments of Afternoons with the Ambassador. Everything. Going to switch things up just a little bit. I talked with Adega and with Mountains of Elysium. We're going to do our Babylon 5 review on Wednesdays from here on out. So be sure to tune in for that. And then next Friday, Ferris Bueller's Day Off watch party. If you want to be on the panel, DM me. You know how to get a hold of me. I am on Twitter. I am on Discord. I am on Instagram. So if you want to be a part of it, let me know. And then next Saturday night at 7:30, both of these streams will be at 7:30 Central Time. Bad movies that we love. We're going to be talking about bad movies that we love and everything on the Ambassadorial Wing. So be sure to tune in for that. And again, if you want to be a part of that stream, hit me up. You know how to get a hold of me, folks. So,
Yeah.
Enosh, Brian, is there anything you want to plug for your channels before we go?
Yeah, go ahead, Enosh.
Oh, no, I was referring to you.
No, yeah, I'm not doing anything spectacular at the moment, but I got a couple things in the works. My channel is Brian Hill, the Master of None. I'll probably go on and play a little bit of Star Wars, Old Republic MMO for a little while, but other than that, things are doing good. I do have a video I just uploaded for anybody who's a Star Wars fan and you love the Heir to the Empire series.
Yes.
This guy named Damien, he goes by the name Darth Angelus.
Yes.
And so he is doing animations chapter by chapter of Heir to the Empire.
Yes.
And just phenomenal stuff, really, really good stuff. And I got to interview him, and so that video is up on the channel right now. And so just really cool stuff. It's a lot of talking about Star Wars, about what Star Wars means to us, about the inspiration that he's had about Heir to the Empire and all that stuff. And I will say this, I did reach out to Timothy Zahn to try to get an interview, and he actually responded to me today. He told me he was way too busy and he didn't have time for me, but he's still awesome, and I still love Timothy Zahn. So he said maybe another time, and I said okay, well that's fine. I'll hit you back up because I still love Timothy Zahn.
What? You got a response, respect.
That's what I said. I said Timothy Zahn responded. He said no, but he still responded to me.
Oh,
I'm sure he was incredibly gracious.
He was very nice. He was very nice.
Of course, Frank's not expect otherwise. And of course, well, me and Mr. Myrr, we're on the 10 Forward round table every Monday evening, talking Star Trek, talking just about anything under the sun with MB Geek, Jesse, great guy. So
it's a good show. I'm on there every once in a while.
He is. Yeah, Brian's been on there several times, and it is a great show. So, all right, folks, y'all have a great night. We'll see you Monday, and until next time, this is the Ambassadors.
Now we know. And knowing is half the battle.
G.I. Joe!
Good night, folks. Peace.